Thank you so much to Agnini Hack and the Java Stunt team for that incredible performance. It really was amazing. And now, as you can tell, we are no longer on the main stage. We are, in fact, standing in front of INCO Gaming's booth, the team who are currently sitting in second place in our league.
Dan terima kasih banyak kepada Agnini Hack and the Java Stunt team atas performanya yang luar biasa. Dan teman-teman sekalian, kita sedang berada di depan dari INCO Gaming, yang dimana sekarang sedang berada di posisi kedua dari leaderboard, yang akan kita ajak ngobrol-ngobrol terlebih dahulu kali ya. Let's go!
So we figured as INCO Gaming are currently in second position in our leaderboard, we would like to have a quick chat with one of the players. So, Nenebet, if you could come over here, that would be fantastic, and stand right next to me. We'd like to ask you a few questions about yesterday and obviously how you're feeling today going into day two. So, first of all, which team do you feel gave you the most trouble yesterday, and what are you guys going to do to prevent that from happening again today?
Então, vocês ficaram na segunda posição ontem, então ele está perguntando quais equipas deram mais problema para vocês ontem e o que vocês vão fazer para melhorar isso.
Ontem, em específico, uma equipe que trabalhou bastante a gente foi a IHC, e hoje, para resolver esse problema, a gente vai matar eles.
So, like, for the special team that got them, like, more trouble was, like, IHC. But, like, so for today, the plan is, like, to eliminate them early.
Oh, wow. Jadi tim yang kata INCO Gaming paling ngeributin di hari pertama kemarin adalah IHC atau IHC. Dan pastinya plan mereka untuk hari ini adalah untuk eliminasi IHC as fast or as soon as possible. Wow.
One thing that we don't talk about enough as well about competing on the main stage is mindset. You guys need to have a clear mind, and so how do you and the rest of your team keep your composure and stay so calm when competing here?
Então, ele disse que a mentalidade durante o jogo é muito importante. O que você e a vossa equipa faz para manter a calma durante os jogos?
A gente respira fundo.
So it's just like the breathing a lot.
Breathing a lot. Oke, jadi untuk stay calm atau tetap tenang, mereka turun nafas bisa mereka semaksimal mereka sendiri untuk bisa mendapatkan atau memainkan game lebih efektif lagi setiap harinya. Well,
quite a hot topic at the moment as well is what is on everyone's minds as well. Right now in the leaderboard, the top three teams are all Brazilians. So is there anything that you would like to say to your companions from Brazil, but also your rivals while you're here competing?
Então, o que estão falando muito agora é que tipo, o top 3 são todos do Brasil. O que você queria falar para os outros equipes do Brasil? Hoje, o mundo vai conhecer o poder do Brasil. So he said like today, the world will know like the power of the Brazilian team.
say what, sorry?
The world will know like the power.
Oh, oke. Jadi kata IHC hari ini dunia akan mengetahui power atau kekuatan dari tim Brazilian. Wow, luar biasa sekali. Let's go.
Nenebet, thank you so much for joining us in this rematch interview. We wish you and the rest of your team all the luck that we can give you for the remainder of today and of course tomorrow. And hopefully you can raise that trophy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Donna, we are going to be closing in on our first match today, is that right?
Yes, I'm sure they are ready now. Thanks. Jadi, teman-teman semuanya, sebelum kita mulai, kita panasin lagi kali ya, sekali lagi. Kita panasin lagi kali ya. So, Jakarta!
Are you ready? Let's head over to the analyst desk where they can break everything down before we go into our first match.
Jadi langsung aja tanpa basa-basi lagi, kita langsung oper menuju ke analis desk kita untuk bisa break everything down. Jadi host dan juga analis desk kita silahkan.
Thank you so much, Banks and Gonaviska from the stage, and welcome back everybody to Pmgc 2022 Grand Finals. My name is Felix, and I will once again be your desk host for the day. Before we get started, let me just tell you, the energy in here is absolutely electrified. It is completely off the charts, and I'm so hyped to be here. And obviously, I have the honor to introduce you to these two beautiful analysts joining me today. One of which is Maxman, one of which is Sam World's Game. How are we feeling? As you said, it's electrifying, so I think that we kind of like absorb that atmosphere right now. Seven, I mean, we had a fantastic day one here in the Grand Finals, and if it's just even remotely close today, I'll be hyped, but we know that teams have made changes. Today is going to be even better than what we saw yesterday.
I already reached my step goals, and that was just from me jumping around before, before the show started, because the Alter Ego fans were just getting absolutely insane, and I hope that we get to hear those chants. And as you were saying, a lot of teams are going to be adjusting. I can't wait to see who's going to be doing that.
It's so surprising because like they've been screaming for like 40 minutes.
Yes.
I don't know how they still have energy, by the way, but they're still going.
Speaking of energy, something that has a lot of energy as well. I love this message, by the way. Sorry. Xperia 1 by 4. Let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Xperia 1 by 4 and Xperia 3, which were co-developed. You can see these two products, by the way, right here, which are co-developed in collaboration with professional esports players. Play PUBG Mobile with Xperia Stream's top cooling system and multiple ports for intensive gaming and streaming, in case you want to share your highlights. And also, don't forget to check out Prime Gaming, another sponsor for this beautiful tournament here in Jakarta, Indonesia. So check out Prime Gaming. You will find lots of free content for all your favorite games, sometimes free games itself. And especially interesting to you guys at home playing PUBG Mobile, you will find free PUBG Mobile items at Prime Gaming as well. Make sure to check them out. Last but not least, another very important part of this Pmgc 2022 Grand Final journey is PBESI, which is the local esports association in Indonesia. Thank you so much, PBESI, for supporting this tournament as well. Before we get back to analysing and talking about the games that we saw yesterday, the 6 of them that we've had so far, make sure to check out the Pmgc fan favorite. Well, it's going on right now. You can see at the bottom of the screen right now as well. You are able to collect tokens in the Erangel map, and you can use them to vote for your favorite team inside the esports center. So make sure to just open your app and get right in there. And now, last but not least, follow us. Follow us on all the socials. It's as easy as that. Make sure to check out YouTube. Make sure to check out Instagram. Make sure to check out Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. We're on all of that. And the name across all boards is PUBG Mobile Esports. So make sure to follow our social channels.
If we could, we'll be on MySpace too.
That's as well.
Can't do that anymore.
Looking at a quick overview what we have planned for today. You saw 6 matches yesterday. We'll have 6 matches today, 6 matches tomorrow. And you can quickly check out the total prize pool as well. $1.5 million will be given to the players in the grand finals alone, Max.
Yeah, as you know, that's half day rate for 7. They're going to be making that.
Calm down, Jason.
Hey, I have to do a callback eventually, right?
Yes.
Of course, 6 more matches going to be happening today. So many opportunities for these teams now that we see on our screen 7 to make these changes and climb up the rankings.
A lot of these teams definitely need to make some changes. I'm going to be looking at STALWART. I'm going to be looking at Wolves too. Wolves actually made a bit of a change yesterday. You saw them start to perform well, and I feel like the big one that I do want to see a change from is going to be Alter Ego. I mean, we've been seeing the crowd get hyped. It's actually a lot more packed. There's a lot more energy here on day number 2, and this team performed really well in the last match yesterday.
Well, let's see if the changes are going to be happening here, but of course, looking at the top 4 fraggers of all of day 1 here, a lot of players tied up with that 13, and it seems like the lucky number for a lot of these players here going into that first day of play. But of course, Sandesh being one of the top fraggers, of course, meaning that he's up there because he also has 4 damage over 1 more knocks, has been able to just perform so well for T2K. That their big second place game, they got how many? 16 eliminations, I believe it was one of our top fragging games of all of that first day, and he was the one to stand out the most. I would love to see them try and replicate that in this day.
100%, and then we go to, I mean, top damage. It has to be Alpha 7 with the way they were able to perform. They did kind of fall off a little bit there in the last 2 matches, but I think they're going to be able to come back in hot today at the start. 1,246 average damage. That is absolutely insane. iNCO Gaming as well, but what I'm actually surprised at here is we have IHC, and we heard iNCO Gaming talking about it, so I wonder how that dynamic is going to be playing out today. And last but not least, you do have S2G.
Yes, and that is especially surprising to me because S2G was one of the teams that we talked about had the least impact in terms of eliminations inside these games. Still putting out that amount of damage. Is that surprising to you, Max?
The thing is, as you said, right, they're going to have a lot of placement points, but I think that what we did see towards the end is they were trying to step up their aggressive game. Right, they were very clearly like, okay, we've got a lot of placement points, we need to shift things up. Then they got eliminations, and they get placement points. So like, you need to find that middle ground to some extent, but a lot of that damage coming out from S2G was from that second half of the day. If they find that middle ground 7, I'd have to say S2G could be looking amazing in today's 6 matches.
S2G, I mean, I have them as my top 5. I'm hoping that ends up happening. I feel like they showed the potential yesterday in certain matches that they can get that fragging power, but I mean, I'm just going to be repeating what you just said, which is pretty much they need to find that happy place between placement and also eliminations.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights that we saw from yesterday's game. Starting off with game number 1, an A7's absolute mad push. I believe it was Ravo getting not only 1 but 2, maybe even 3 kills in that quick succession.
Yeah, we didn't have any time to talk about it, but on the top fragments, right, he had also 13 eliminations.
Yes.
Revo, I mean, this guy just stepped up. He also had so many individual players. Bomb, just Brazil as a whole, was like Natali in particular. They showed up on a singular play and also as a team.
And I'm so glad you brought up Vitaly, because I actually wanted to mention we saw 13 eliminations out of him. And if I'm not mistaken, those 13 eliminations actually came in the first 2 games. After that, he wasn't really able to get any vacation. Yeah. He was like, you know what, let me just lay back, relax. In the first game, he ended up with 7 elims. In the second game, he ended up with 6. So I'm hoping a bit of more of a consistent game out of them. And I mean, you saw off the 7. You were talking about it yesterday too, how well they played Sanhok, that they ended up winning.
And that 2-1-1 split was just something of absolute beauty. But then I think this is the moment right here where we have the entire crowd just go, whoa! And like they just lit up instantly when they just played that team almost instantly. He slipped up a good play on those later on down the line, but overall, Alpha 7, it was their day. It was the entirety of those 6 matches. And the question is now, who can beat them in these matches today?
And I think for me, it's going to be S2G and S2G, going back to what you were saying. If they can find a half place between those placement points and also the eliminations, they can maybe go up above influence Chemin. And then you have T2K. I mean, you mentioned too, 16 eliminations for that team in one game with the second place finish.
Je ne me mêle pas de la compétition. Je voulais gérer.
You can see this,
Ça, c'est
Alpha
qu'il
7
faut.
at the top, 7
Maintenant,
Ego Gaming,
par
6
rapport
points.
à...
Influence Chemin, 54 points. I mean, this team's
Par
doing good.
rapport
And what I want to see
aux
on
gens
S2G
qui
is
jouent, parce
T2K.
qu'on
I hope
parlait.
they win today.
You know what? Normally
Moi,
I like
je voulais
a
juste sanctionner en tant que leader,
We're
en
going to
tant
be
que
predicting in the
joueur
top 5.
de l'équipe.
You
Je
said
les ai
Brazil,
sanctionnés.
you said S2G.
Bon, comme tu
That's a
insistes,
4 out of 5
je vais
ratio
laisser
right
le
now.
vote
I'm going to
populaire
say you're on point this season.
décider.
We'll see if it's still the case at the end of the day.
S'ils
To be
estiment
fair,
qu'on peut vous
Fair, only
pardonner
had 2
pour avoir ce que
Brazilian
vous
teams.
avez
Okay,
fait,
so I'm actually surprised that it's doing this well.
on va vous
But then we go
pardonner
towards
pour
bottom
les
right, we
jeux.
saw IHC there,
S'ils
and now we
estiment
go
que vous
towards the
méritez
second
une
base.
sanction
More
et que
aggravated.
vous
This was a team
devez
that showed a lot of great
tirer les
play
leçons
yesterday.
de
They
ça,
especially start picking up
on
on
se
the second half of
pardonnera.
the day. And when we talk about picking it up, I mean, we got to talk about Flux Esports.
And Fireflux Esports, those without watching dinner, the thing is, a lot of their points came out from that one singular chicken dinner. You're looking at their ranking points. You take out 50, they only got 3 more placement points left. We need to see consistency from this team to climb up and hopefully be in that top 5 position at the end of today.
Absolutely, but kind of the same thing could be said about Wolves. They had 2 back-to-back last places in round 2 and round 3, so the inconsistency here really needs to be fixed. Looking at the INCO against INF, interesting statistics.
Yeah, interesting statistics. I mean, that average elimination, when you're looking at 5, is just something of absolute beauty when you're looking at it. At this level of competition in Pubg Mobile Esports, having a 5 average elimination per game is absolutely mental. The question is, of course, as you mentioned, can they keep it up today? If they do, man, they're looking like they're not going to budge from those top positions.
And what was crazy to me, and I mean, they did have 2 games yesterday when they ended up in 15th place and in 16th place. And as we go to the top Erangel performance here, there's no surprise. I am a little bit surprised to not see Alpha 7 here. It seems like they were performing better in Miramar and obviously in Sanhok when they ended up getting the win. DRS, we know we've been wanting to talk about that team. That team showed up big time in the first game yesterday, and after that, I just felt like they disappeared.
Yeah, will they play the next games? I don't remember. A bit brutal. But yeah, that first game was fantastic. We need to see more of the essence of that game in the other ranking, in the other matches. If so, we could see Nepal step up big time. We want to see DRS at the top of the leaderboards eventually.
Yep. Quickly looking at what we're going to see today, you already saw it, but it's going to be the normal rotation that we saw yesterday as well. Starting with Erangel, Miramar, Sanhok, and then the same thing. Sanhok is switched out from Erangel. In the end, exciting games that we have seen yesterday. A storyline with the whole Brazil region coming on clutch in the last games as well.
I'm sorry. Wait a second. Did
Tell
you
me
just
about
say? Oh, that is just.
Brazil.
Did you just say Brazil? Listen, I don't get to do this often. I don't get to brag this much because this team, the region usually lets me down a little bit. Okay, but they're doing so well that I had to bring out the flag and just showcase it. Soak it in. Vamos Brasil, muito amor.
I think I'll have to give that to Blank. It was a bit cold. I think you're right.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're screaming already, boy. Coming to the teams to watch, and I'm especially interested because you keep saying you're all about Brazil. Do we have a lot of Brazil teams on you? No, not really. It's only A7 now.
Yeah, it's only A7, and that's because they are currently leading. I felt like they definitely dropped off in the last 2 games yesterday. I want to see how they're going to be coming out. And because I have Nova, they usually tend to bounce back in day number 2. In IHC, I have them because we were talking about this too, and I know that you have them too. They got a win yesterday. And if you remember, they didn't get a win at last chance.
When I saw Zol get some that 1v1v1 clutch at the end towards those last matches, I was having like callbacks to almost 2 years ago, Pmgc Grand Finals, when he was playing with Zeus. It was so hype. I want to see more of that. But actually, back on to Nova, I think I had a talk with Powerboy, right, about where he was hoping to be at the end of today.
Yeah, so I went up to him, I was like, do you think you're gonna, I expected to be at least top 3. He's like, you know what, top 5. And then he was like, actually, top 3. So the confidence is there, pretty much.
But it has to be specified. He means that for today. For today, top 3. Yeah? Yeah, top 4. Okay, I was completely surprised by that because you said top 5 to 3. Either way, we'll be getting into the first game of day number 2. John Allen and Blank are standing ready at the commentary desk, and we are heading right there. No message. We're going right over here. We are going to be taking it in to game number 1 here for Pmgc 22 finals in Jakarta. It's been such an electric atmosphere in the auditorium so far today. It has been phenomenal to watch, Blank.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a little bit chilly. I'm still.
You're right.
The heat coming off this region though right now. It's bringing me heat. It's bringing me warmth. The top 3. They're looking for a little bit more. I'm steaming right now with this on. I'm happy days. Anyway, let's keep this on for a little while longer. But heading over to the venue right now, checking out the players, checking out the watchers, the audience. INCO, happy days. All in all, this has been a fantastic time. I'm really happy with the way this finals turned out so far. We've had a beautiful amount of turnout, just in terms of audience, just in terms of the amount of people that are here cheering. The audience is absolutely electric. And I don't think we could have asked for a better day 1 with a very surprising turnout with that 1-2-3 over Brazil.
Excellent performance, not only from the teams, but from the crowd themselves. I think that's a big part of it. Sure, the national team that is here for the region, they might be at the bottom of the tables, but they are at the top of the tables when it comes to that support, which is phenomenal to see.
Yeah, I mean, I did get to actually speak to Denny earlier, the coach from Alter Ego. And what I was telling him was that, like, it kind of looks like this is a team that qualified through a real bracket to get here. Yeah. I don't think they're in that point in time where it looks like they're completely lost, completely broken. I do think that when you see them, they're making the right moves. It's kind of those little things that are off, and I think that's to be expected with this kind of stage, this kind of level. And I think for Alter Ego, just getting out that 16th place would be a massive boost to their confidence today. And I think they can do that. They can continue with this good game sense. They seem to bring up that skill level in terms of mechanical play, those team fights. And yesterday we saw them take out Nova in that 4v4, which is not easy to say the least. So I think that confidence is really something that's maybe holding them back a little bit.
Ok.
Come out now and again, and it works.
Ça commence.
Leave that pressure and relate to what Nenebete was saying in the case of just breathe. Keep it calm, keep it cool. That's what we've got to do in the Pmgc.
Déjà les gars, faut noter qu'il y a des équipes qui ont des spawns précis. Des spawns précis. La A7E, ça c'est leur spawn, genre le pool. Ça c'est leur spawn. Eux ils changent quasiment jamais. Ainsi se déplacent, ils vont se déplacer un peu, mais voilà, ça c'est leur spawn. Là, on voit leur spawn, c'est GODLIKE. Comme vous le savez, de GODLIKE, tu rotas partout en fait. Quand tu passes simplement de GODLIKE, tu peux aller de partout, mais de partout en force. Et il faut aussi savoir exploiter GODLIKE du mieux possible. La Fire Flux, habituellement, c'est pas leur spawn. Le spawn qu'ils ont pris, c'est pas leur spawn habituellement. Et si vous remarquez bien, la majorité des équipes priorisent d'abord le véhicule. Vous l'avez vu, il y a des joueurs, il y a des équipes qui ont atterri à Severny, tu as minimum 2 véhicules. Minimum 2 véhicules. La iNCO arrive, ils ont déjà 2 véhicules. Là où ils ont déjà 2 véhicules. Dès que tu as pris le véhicule, tu peux déjà faire un truc. Dès que tu as vu la zone, tu peux baser ta rotation sur ça. Sachant que tout le monde est éparpillé sur la première zone, sur l'atterrissage et tout. Tu as la possibilité de te loot. Les gars vont se loot pendant 1 minute, les premières minutes. Vous voyez, là il est 1 minute 30, 26. Juste, ça c'est leur temps pour se loot. Donc, pour ceux qui ont compris, première chose, c'est chercher un véhicule. Tu atterris, tu cherches un véhicule. Une fois que tu trouves ton véhicule, tu pars te loot le plus proche possible où tu sais que tu vas trouver une arme. Malheureusement, la Buriram, avec ses coéquipiers qui sont plus hauts, à côté il y a la INCO. Là, ils sont un peu mal. C'est un peu chaud. Comment vont-ils la jouer? C'est la question que je me pose maintenant. Là, voilà. Ça, c'est Shelter. Étant tous les trois, les deux équipes étant à Shelter, ça va être un peu compliqué. Ça va sûrement se fight dès le début, ou bien ça va partir. D'abord, se loot et on fight après.
Got Flux currently making their way down that western coastal side on yellows. It's a great place to pick up some more vehicles. Unfortunately, it's only 2 players at the moment. I imagine they'll grab one, head back up towards Ketch and Lutz, which is not a bad idea whatsoever because that's going to give you more time. Even if you only have 2 vehicles, having 2 players in crates gives you a phenomenal amount of loot early on, which means when they do head towards the circle, yes, they'll have to move soon.
Mais en vrai, c'est quelque chose que moi je conseille pas. D'arriver, tu te retrouves à chercher un spawn pour l'autre et tout. C'est pas l'idéal. C'est pas l'idéal. Comme vous voyez là, la Flux, ça fait quoi? C'est chacun a atterri à un endroit où il va se loot. Il va se loot, il va avoir un véhicule. Et il y a plein d'endroits comme ça. La STE, eux, ils ont pris Nova. Oh, j'ai oublié comment ça s'appelle. J'ai pas tous les noms aussi en tête. Hein. Mais ils ont pris une zone très spéciale où ils savent qu'ils sont les seuls à atterrir, ils se lootent, et là, tu as la possibilité de te loot au max. La Wolf, ils ont fait la même chose, là ils sont à Pubg. Ils sont seuls à Pubg. La Vampire Esports, eux, ils viennent toujours au niveau de la base militaire. En vrai, leur stratégie de venir à la base militaire, elle est top. Pourquoi? Parce que si la zone se joue dans la base militaire, eux, ils ont la zone. C'est tranquille pour eux, ils ont la zone. Alors que, bon, première fight, bien joué. Bien joué, oui. Très bien joué. Oui. Vous avez vu. Les gars, première rencontre, la IHC commence à la One IHC, je pense, c'est comme ça le nom, commence à tirer sur eux. Dès qu'ils commencent, ils enchaînent au propre. Ils ont lobby. Mais regardez ce qu'ils font. Regardez bien ce qu'ils font. Ils savent qu'il y a eu une fight. Il y a eu la fight, on met max fumi, on se soigne. Juste à côté, il y a déjà la Fort AM qui est déjà présente et tout. Là, ils ont mis les fumis, ça permet de cacher les véhicules et tout. Certes, ça va être chaud. Moi, là, la place du joueur de la Fort A, et malheureusement, là, la Fort A est en train de se placer. Moi, je suis le joueur de la Fort AM. Si je veux bousiller leur rota, je pète déjà les véhicules. Soyons honnêtes, je vous pète les véhicules. Vous ne bougez pas. Et après, on vous joue. Moi, c'est ce que j'aurais fait. Je sais qu'il y a eu une faille, j'ai entendu les tirs, il y a toute l'équipe qui est là. Je vous pète les véhicules, vous ne bougez pas. Bon, là, ils continuent leur rota, tranquille. Ils ont eu 4 kills. Ils poursuivent leur rota. Non, ils ont eu même 3 kills parce que l'autre a apparemment fui. Voilà. Maintenant, vous avez vu, il y a une prise de position automatique. Prise de position immédiate. On a dit la zone va se jouer vers au-dessus de... Oh, ça fait comment j'ai oublié. En tout cas, en haut, côté droit. Les gars ont déjà pris la position. Avant qu'on arrive, vous voyez bien, avant qu'on arrive à... comment dire? Avant qu'on arrive à la prochaine zone, beaucoup d'équipes ont déjà pris leur position. Ils sont déjà positionnés. Ils vont couper les rotas. Soit la INCO qui a voulu couper la rota de la Alter Ego. La DRS qui est en train de faire ça retard, tranquille, pépère. Ça, c'est déjà un truc.
Super beneficial for them. They do taper off sometimes, but we have seen them start off very slow and then ramp up towards the end of the day. It's the only thing that really worries me about INCO. I think A7 has that kind of consistent streak where they get that momentum on board and it's good to go. And I think if we see Alpha 7 have a good game at the start of the day right now,
Ça dit quoi là?
for a lot of the rest of the lobby.
Tu viens prendre les
You're
cours.
talking about some of these teams down towards the bottom side. I think it's still very malleable, like you said.
Viens prendre les cours là, ouais. Ça va aider ton équipe. Maintenant là, comme vous voyez, vous avez la Nova. Oh putain, ça c'est la meilleure équipe au monde. Quand on parle de Pubg, c'est la meilleure équipe au monde. Regardez leur positionnement. Là, automatiquement, ça va en retard. Mais du côté là où ils sont, il y aura une casse, mais une casse de malade. Et là, les rotas vraiment les joueurs vont commencer à se croiser. Il y aura des rotas, comment dire, des rotas équilibrés, d'autres qui vont... En fait, là, chacun va l'avoir avancer avec son véhicule. Ils vont éviter de dire qu'ils vont s'arrêter pour engager une fight. Parce que s'ils engagent une fight, ils ne prennent pas une position le plus vite possible. Ça va être chaud après. Pendant cette fight, tu peux perdre un joueur, c'est compliqué. La Alter Ego qui vient de perdre son joueur. La Alter Ego qui s'est fait encercler par la brute. Un peu chaud. Ça, la influence qui fight face à la 1HC. La brute qui fight face à la Alter Ego. C'est compliqué. C'est à partir de la 3e zone, les gars. 3e zone. Il ne faut pas suivre. Une fois que vous êtes déjà allé commencer, je vous assure que quand vous avez commencé, à partir de la 3e zone de retard, tu ne peux plus avancer comme tu veux.
You can see that they're making all the right moves, all the right decisions. They don't seem lost, they don't seem hopeless, but it's that extra little bit of Pmgc power that they are missing at the moment. Hopefully they can bring that back on board. The home ground fans, cheer them on a little bit more. Right now, Pubg, last member, not always the worst thing in the world, can hide out for quite some time if you get towards top positions. It could seem to know something that everyone doesn't right now about these circles. They have a very, very good handle.
Ils doivent protéger les véhicules. Le dernier joueur de la Alter Ego, c'est un peu chaud pour lui. Ça se comprend. La Bru, après avoir éliminé une équipe, avance très bien. Rien à dire, sincèrement. Les gars maîtrisent la map. Ils maîtrisent sérieusement la map. Ils savent l'importance du véhicule. Donc ils protègent au max leur véhicule.
Fairly centrally on this circle. S2G further north. They did spot out a player, I believe, from Influence Chemin, but that did get res from down the hill.
Là, tu as la vampire qui va jouer au bord de zone.
The glory that they found in PMWI has been a little bit of a fall from grace in that regional stage and the group stages earlier in December back in 2022. It wasn't the vampire that we were expecting to be able to come into this one, but they still have a little bit more time. You talked about Nova being able to put up massive performances towards the end, so in those small day frames, hopefully Vampire can have that resurgence as well. That would be ideal. It would be good stuff for Vampire. I think if you look at their December performance as well, it wasn't exactly what we wanted to see from them, but there were certainly those moments where it felt like it really had that go time.
En vrai, les gars, il y a des joueurs dont on vous a pas parlé à la Nova Esports. Il y a un joueur comme Frozen. Lui, c'est un malade. C'est quelqu'un, s'il faut le considérer, c'est quoi? C'est, on va dire, le super sub. C'est du genre, je ne sais pas, c'est... Quand ils commencent à la Nova, ils ont l'habitude de dire, ouais, il y a peut-être d'abord King ou quelqu'un d'autre. King ou quelqu'un d'autre qui va l'avoir commencé lors de la première journée. Après, lorsque ça ne donne pas la première journée, Frozen rentre automatiquement lors de la deuxième journée et en général, il pète tout. La vie doit, il pète tout.
Flux on the south side, coming into conflict with Vampire. with Vampire on the lead in terms of their position. Could prove to be a little bit sticky. iNCO still very central north side. Alpha 7 behind the cube for Influence Chemin. And outside of the circle, quite a few teams.
La S2G a déjà rota. Et quand, dans leur rota, ils sont venus se placer là. Wow.
S2G, though, they've made it up to this cliff face. Stalwart want to back them off, but that's easier
Le
said than
contrebas pour les véhicules, les gars.
Stalwart.
Chaud.
Nice spot for them. Up on high, Silas moves up. Tries to gather a little bit of this information. Very good angle.
Ah non. Par contre, là, comment dire, ils n'ont pas une très bonne position. Ah non. Jamais.
Stalwart in a way, but you're also looking at 4am.
La S2G n'a pas une très bonne position.
Quite a difficult exit. Luckily with the circle, they've got a lot of time to work with. A lot more time for Stalwart at 4am to even cross paths, cross blades. I think that's the time that S2G is waiting for. Silas peeking up, getting a little bit bold with it. Can't really afford to go down, but they do have enough cover to drop him back towards the rest of the team in the position that they're in and should be resable, even if he does get knocked here. Losing Ray Z though for S2G leaves them only at 3, so they can't really afford too many slip-ups here. They want to carry on forwards. Nova spread out wide right now on the southwest side. Vampire looking to try and push between Paraboy and Orders.
Voilà. Quand je vous dis souvent, péter les véhicules. Ça, c'est la base. Frozen vient de vous montrer que tu vois des véhicules dispo, toi, save ton véhicule, toi, tu vois un véhicule dispo. Un ennemi peut prendre ça comme la blague. Tu pètes ton véhicule, tu pètes son véhicule. Aïe, aïe, ça devient compliqué pour la S2G.
The 1-2 punch, Silas drops up, tries to send this player a little bit further back. Pika getting a little bit too big for his boots here, and Silas wants to let him know that it's not going to be all rainbows, just moving over this top side to quickly take position. In the meantime, S2G will re-stabilize. Stalwart's moved a bit further up, though. It's an excellent compound for them to play from. DRS, I haven't talked about them too much, but right now have a fairly good compound over towards that eastern side. Unfortunately, it is just a little bit out of the way. With a massive ridge over towards their west, they are kind of cut off from a lot of the action. It's going to keep them safe for a long while in the game, so we can expect high ranking from them. You could see there that S2G were very, very worried about their northern flank, and for good reason. There's still a lot of teams yet to push in from that direction, and they'll have to wait and see what they can find. Order spots out a central position for an Anabete. Order. Pressure on the squash as well. Order lighten them up. Becker not really in a position to get an answer shot back. iNCO still at 4 alive with Vitali half HP down the hill. Vitali was a massive factor for them in yesterday's games, hopefully able to put up the performance again. Oh dear.
Bien joué.
Up goes the vehicle, and GEEK fan cut Influence Chemin in half. The Malaysian team, specifically Yuhai, currently on loan from BTR, has been absolutely fantastic for GEEK fan so far. Nothing smoke goes Influence Chemin. Not the ideal start for them, considering they were on the warpath to try and ladder up just a little bit to face their Brazilian brethren towards the top of the table, second and first, respectively. Nova, though, great spot over towards iNCO. It's difficult not to take shots from that position that iNCO is currently holding in. It's a bit of a Hail Mary. Nova, on the other hand, a lot of position taken early. You did mention this. And I think for them, they were able to find the
Par contre, aux joueurs de la T2K, il est parti se donner un autre friki.
Off of that rotating and just being comfortable playing as a solo. T2K cut down mostly by IHC, but S2G let go right into
La GEEK, elle est déter, hein.
Take the shots that are going to get the knock, allow the player to play that close position. GEEK fan rolling up towards IHC. There's already been a knock this way. S2G should have a little bit of oversight onto this fight. The smoke is there, giving them some cover, but IHC are crumbling here under the pressure from GEEK fan. And GEEK fan taking down the Malaysian squad up to 5 eliminations now with Yuhai needing to hit the deck and get some healing done. Across the way is the remnants of Influence. Alpha 7 trying to rock up, but it's not going well. 1, 2, 3 players falling, and Alpha 7 coming a part of the scenes as well. One player now remains for
Alpha 7 qui commence à perdre.
4am assisting on that fight, but an incredible hold there from the final 2 players from Influence Chemin. Little boy showing what he's worth. He certainly is worth a lot for the team. Some really good work, and for Alpha 7, it's a case of that moving a little bit too late. They took their time over towards North George, maybe expected 4AM to stick around a little bit longer, was hesitant to send eastwards. 4AM had already left. You can see how much this has benefited them. On the circle here, towards that northern side, we'll have to move down. Our DRS position becomes far more valuable. The Wolves, we haven't talked about them too much at the moment, but this is a strong spot. Have high ground. This will be a great chance for them today. Really bring things back up to speed. The Chinese team's not performing to the caliber that we maybe expected coming in from the PEL. Well, they do still have that opportunity. It's fine. Just how much they're willing to take that. Top takes a knee. Should be resible, but still.
Oh, Mafioso, regardez là où il se retrouve. Dur, hein?
I am not immune to caster cursing, but yesterday I was talking about 4M quite a bit. I still think this team has one of the best chances out of the Chinese teams to really make a breakout for that top 5 today. Purely off the back of just watching back the VODs yesterday and looking at certain positions that they took around the circle. Highly tactical. Very cerebral. It looked good. They were in the right place at the right time. Not necessarily always winning those engagements, though. They still have that firepower to boot. So I think for 4AM, this could be a very good day. Still reasonably consistent yesterday. They do need to get a few more points on board. Chen looks down towards GEEK. Likes, but big style. Oh, they are just not going to stand the test.
La Fort AM n'est pas venu pour participer. Il y a des équipes qui montrent clairement que nous ne sommes pas là pour participer. La Bru a déjà 5 kills, ils ont encore 3 joueurs. GG, hein, sincèrement.
You said it was precarious, the position that they had. A little bit of a Hail Mary, potentially. But they have now managed to outlast.
Regardez comment les fumis sont exploités, les gars. Regardez à quel point les fumis sont exploités. C'est GG, en vrai. Hein. Le QI game, sincèrement, il est haut.
AE also with just Pombit remaining. Very at risk. I think for INCO, one of these top teams, it's going to be a difficult push for them. A lot of open space around. You can see they're already being harassed. Nova's got a great bead on this position too, and they'll be continuing to watch down over towards it. Jimmy scouts out just a little bit, gets some shots over his way. Fortunately, Pombit will fall to INCO. First elimination of the game found. Puts them up to that 70-point mark. They're now 8 points behind Alpha 7 on their run here. 11 teams remain, 34 players. So we've seen quite a few casualties so far.
La Fire 50 se retourne avant Esports et la Nova Senior. Ah, c'est mes 3 équipes qui sont directement low.
Looks like they will be able to do so. Fire Flux on the south side. Took some punishment earlier on their rotations. And Nova are looking to make sure that they feel a little bit more. Wolves, they have lost a player short, but they're still on that high ground position. The issue with this high ground spot is that it's very open. I think getting here early on, sort of forced to play this spot, but you have to play it very aggressively. Looking at Wolves yesterday, I don't think they have...
Ah putain, ils ont la zone. Ils ont la zone. De cette façon, les gars essayent juste de rentrer un peu plus. La Wolf va directement chercher le middle zone. Mais là, Fireflux va forcément devoir rentrer sur eux.
And some shots back across. You can see there the Mini 14. I think I saw an SKS as well. Seems that they are maybe potentially a little bit low on meds. You talked about how they trash loot quite a lot. They have taken quite a beating so far to stay alive in their position, so maybe they're trying to save those meds for a little bit later on. A lovely nade down top, a lot of damage, but doesn't get the knock from Kelsey. S2G trying to put hurt in towards the health bars of 4 Angry Men. But the repositions are good. The smokes are there. They're looking to try and flow around this side. Yeah.
Ah ouais, là c'est la S2G qui veut essayer d'aller au forcing.
Compound currently is locked away from SDE. They won't be able to engage on this fight. So for S2G, they've identified this is probably the only play.
Vous avez vu comment les gars avancent. Sincèrement, avant d'avancer, on met un max de fumée.
Perfectly place. They're out in the
max de
open.
fumée pour pouvoir avancer, lancer les bombes et tout. Voilà, c'est tranquille. Et non, là, la DRS qui se retrouve à devoir jouer la Wolf.
Pulled down there into the depths.
Ça
No
promet.
more will we see the team from Turkey in this game. Now iNCO on the western coast have Buriram to deal with as well. South side being pushed in by
À
DRS.
partir de là, normalement, la Nova peut
The
faire un
Wolves up
piège.
top have Nova to deal with as well. You're going to love this play from DRS. I mean, they knew that this position would afford them time and capability. They've remained patient. Now it's going to start paying dividends towards the end of the game. Long made there. Nearly tags Svan, but escapes with nary a tickle. Tiger behind the buggy for Buriram. 2 players remaining, one of whom is down already, so Tiger the last standing. And last player from T2K.
Ah, mais le joueur de la T2K, il a réussi à survivre longtemps, sincèrement.
Right behind S2G. You've got to think the men do not know that there's a player nearby. Maybe they think this has come from STALWART. Are they going to check this angle? Chen seems to have jumped out on the ridge line.
Aïe, 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 de tous les côtés.
Have not had to stand up and go for this peak, but now is the time to strike. Good shout.
Il valide. Aïe, 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 aïe. Ouh, GG. Oh, dommage. Oh, dommage. Dommage. Mais normalement, là, la STE push. Pushez, les gars. Ah, faites pas chier. Vous attendez quoi pour push, les gars? Vas-y, 3 sommets. Les gars, 3 sommets. Vas-y. Oh, putain.
Just in case there's any more bullets coming their way. Scry though, look at this. Has the nade. It's a pretty easy shot for them. Has to assume that they haven't got out yet.
N'allez pas jouer les bombes jusqu'à la fin, les gars. Là, vous les jouez.
Mercifully, the blue zone stops there and allows them some sanctuary, but Scry, that could be the 4K, wants to turn this cover into their coffin. It could absolutely, but didn't want to pull the pin on it. They're going to give that one back, and 400 men allowed another opportunity. 7 eliminations, and all 4 of them somehow are still alive, but they have to move further south. It's a really tough position to kind of counteract that.
Bon, maintenant là, il y aura une fight entre Flux et la Wolf. Hein. Ah, c'est automatique. Maintenant, si là, en enclenchant la fight là, la Nova monte propre.
Over towards Flux, leaving them down to just the 2 players. 1 now. Catch on the hillside. After Flux lost a couple earlier. They've just been picked down, pushed around on the south edge. DRS continue their pressure, continue their chokehold, continue their
DRS. Ah, ça promet.
Take the 4v3 with Catch as a wildcard entrant. Nova ahead of the curve on that western side will stop any retreat from Wolves. Locking them in. Good smokes here from 4 AM. I know right now for them it's just getting into this circle. STALWART in a similar position where they have covered to play around with. 4 AM were forced to take all their vehicles out of the mix, out of the picture, to prevent being exploded. STALWART just had insane oversight over 4 AM since the beginning. But again, they're looking for a longer game here. That's brilliant from Goodsiao.
Ah, mais la 4 AM, sincèrement, le level chinois, les gars. De ouf, non, c'est rien à dire. La Wolf gère son positionnement, la 4AM gère également son positionnement. Là, il faut juste qu'il commence à monter, c'est bon. Là, ils ont commencé à monter. Ça, c'est mon équipe. Ah oui, je joue avec mon équipe. Les gars, un bon chasseur doit être patient. Patient.
He brought 4AM back into the mix versus T2K. Can he do it again here versus STALWART? Around the side of the rock, spots the tail there. Oh no, he shut down. Excellent move.
Ah, c'est livré. Ah, là, par contre. Non, les gars, le level chinois, ah, il est malade. Avec un seul joueur, ils ont pris des kills. Il leur reste un seul joueur. Ils ont réussi à prendre l'équipe. Tu as la Nova qui rotate à 4 encore par le haut. Ils réussissent à monter par le haut. À chapeau. Alors, la chapeau. Rien à dire. On se loot sur les cadavres. On met des fumis. Et ça va le faire.
Been chilling so hard right now on this western side. Everybody else has been fighting over the coastal areas. You know, with the amount of players they have, the position they're holding, it's very likely.
Et ils préfèrent mourir dans la zone. Et regarde, Théma l'avancée de Jimmy.
Nice and healthy throughout the rest.
Frozen. En fait, je sais pas quoi, l'équipe là. Quand Frozen il est là, c'est un autre level. King est fort. Mais quand Frozen il est là, c'est vraiment le super sub. Par contre, là, tu as la iNCO. Nenebete qui veut essayer de monter sur eux. Pas mal réfléchi. Ouais. Il suffit juste qu'ils assomment un de vous. Un de vous, c'est mort. Parce que s'ils prennent les 5 kills là, c'est jouable. Ils commencent la remontada comme d'hab. Para. Suffit juste.
Looks like Nova are more worried about Remember's position and the smoke start to line up. Spread out from INCO. Kind of crunched in right now, and these smokes are going to play well.
Eh, comme il a pris le kill!
Squash on the back line, and nade over the top. Paraboy looking to play on the left flank of this smoke. Can he light them up?
GG, ça commence. Je joue Paraboy prend les deux. Paraboy prend les deux. Regarde, Order prend les deux. Oh non, GG. Oh. Oh. Arrête. Oh. Ils ont fait ça comment?
In that final moment, Nova took the unreal spot towards that western side of the circle, able to get behind that rock and play from it. Swings all the way round, plays up the back of that rock, and what a headshot coming through over towards Order side. It looked like he had it under control, ready to lay down the gamble in court, but Nenebete was that criminal that could not be caught. He is just too slick with it. Wow. I did not even expect them to be able to take that one. I thought, oh, well, it's a 1v2. Nenebete, they know exactly where you are. It's going to be all curtains for you. You've got Order to deal with, but you know what? There's a reason that INCO are towards the top of the table. It was a great swing around. I mean, Nenebete played that one out perfectly. Vitali, look, man, he did the work yesterday, and Nenebete kind of fell out in the cold, right? And this time around, Nenebete's like, look, this is the reason we got into Pmgc in the first place, and that's me. So, today, he really puts on a stunning performance towards the end there, and it's good news because, honestly, seeing yesterday, the three other players all stepping up on form to get them to where they were, and arguably not having their strongest player on peak performance, and now seeing that, this is now truly a terrifying team. Absolutely, this is what you love to see as well at the Pmgc, right? I'm really happy that we've seen what we did in those final moments of the game, right? Because it's so good to see teams playing into the storylines that we've been talking about, right? For sure. And I think that INCO, again, is this weird meta that's now set into each case of like, we're going to drop here, but it's not necessarily where we're going to loot from now. We're going to pick a better spot in the circle, being able to just weather things out. They're a very resilient team at the end of the day. Yes, they don't have a lot of health wars in there, they don't have a lot of meds, but they make do what they can. It's that first initial knock that is so important because they really do light things off massively towards the end. The big fireworks they start to bring out in those final moments. And I don't think the Nova was ready for that. And by the time that they kind of repositioned, and I think Order was in full panic mode towards the end there, damage control. He was doing a great job at it, by the way. Unfortunately for him, just wasn't enough versus that team. And Jimmy's health bar being as low as it was towards the end there as well made it very, very tricky. I mean, let's not forget, in those final moments, Order also took a 1v2 and won it out against those INCO backline. I mean, it's just, it's not the team I really thought 2 months ago would be here right at the top. But they are. Seven's laughing. He's happy about it. This is a team I can get behind. But this is the question, right? We talked about how INCO can start off a day very well and kind of taper off. We saw they stayed consistent yesterday. Do you think they're going to be able to do it today? I don't think it was consistency yesterday, honestly. I think that it was a case of a couple of good games and then some decent games in the middle. And I think that's what we're going to see today. I expect there to be another big INCO game coming up, and then it might die down a little bit. That can't happen anymore. In the meantime, let's head back over to the desk to see what they have to say. What an absolute massive turnaround.
T'es mal au point rageur de Order, sire! Non, t'es tout, t'es tout.
Guys, just give me your first
Ouais, c'est
impression,
vrai.
because that was one hell of a game from start to finish. I think we have one thing to say about INCO. They're a gorgeous team. Yeah, it's pretty gorgeous, not gonna lie. They really are. Starting off, maybe let's keep that INCO discussion for a second. GEEK, that was something that impressed you a lot throughout that game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I enjoy how aggressive they were, and I enjoyed that they took the fight to IHC. It ended up working out. It didn't end up working out for them in regards to a rotation, but just the aggressiveness that they were able to showcase, that's good to see. Now they just need to be able to find that switch. We always talk about it, Max. They need to be able to switch that on and switch that off and make sure they put themselves in great positions, because that was the downside there.
Yeah, because exactly, I was about to say, that was not a good position. You're just pitch, you have a team in front of you, you're not in a circle, you have 4 AM behind you, especially these fans. Not really the most comfortable position in any game to be in, right? But I do think that they looked a lot more aggressive. It looked a lot more in line with what we saw from GEEK fam in the league stage. And once again, they had, what was it, a 61-point lead in the league stage in their group. Really, they just completely obliterated the competition at that stage. Didn't quite show up yesterday. He showed up in that first game. Sure didn't get himself as many placement points as they wanted, but it's a good way to kick off day 2. Going over, not yet to INCO Gaming against Nova. Maybe about Nova itself, because I thought that was a pretty interesting start. They were playing it really passive, keeping fought alive, almost until
Des
phase
couilles et
7.
du courage.
Un
sacré entourage.
I would say if you're one of the few teams who win the South, you had an easy game. Okay, I put a list. All the teams who were North, you have T2K, IHC, S2G, INF, Buriram. But these are all the teams North that have no space to work with. You had, what was it, 3-14 South? Chill game for them, not going to lie. And I think they had, 4 elims towards the end of that game before taking that final fight versus INCO. It's still a good Nova game, but I think they didn't really put them to the test as much as the teams North.
What I enjoyed about that game, though, from Nova is that, it might have been a chill game, but they did put themselves in a position where they could actually push there towards the end. I mean, they were able to, if it wasn't for Nenebete clutching that at the end, that was absolutely wild. We'll get a chance to talk about that later. But overall, I mean, we were kind of expecting it, right? We were hoping it would happen. We both had Nova in our teams to watch, and this is the Nova on day 2. They had a chance to go back and see what they did wrong yesterday. I hope a lot of teams are ready, because Nova is about to show up in a big way.
Talking about showing up, one player that stood out specifically was Order. He had 3 frags before anyone else pretty much got a shot. Talk to me about it. Order, throughout the whole game, but in the last Flux situation as well. What's a player? I mean, with games like that, Order could very clearly be the back-to-back MVP. MVP of the Grand Finals of last year, could be making it happen here once again. He had such a good angle. It's really hard to take down. But the fact that INCO were able to actually turn that fight in their favour, it came down initially to that first stage. They created a little bit of a man advantage in their favour. The moment you put Order out of commission, that is your game to take. And once again, Nenebete, we didn't see him too much yesterday with Vitali. Now you have 2 top fraggers for the team. INCO is not going to slow down.
We didn't see him much, but hey, as long as it shows up today, that's all that matters. INCO Gaming there with 21 points. What I'm surprised though, I think we're talking about yesterday being Brazil's day. Today might be China's day. You can see second, third, and fourth are all from the PEL. 4 Angry Men with 18 points, Nova with 16 points, and Wolf Esports. I mean, this is a team that we were talking about. They definitely have the potential. They're here for a reason. 4 Angry Men with 10 eliminations, they're continuing to show that they can definitely brag out Max.
I'm super happy to see it happen. Right? I was not going to lie. I was looking, even though Brazil still got the chicken dinner, I was like, I hope we'll see other regions and teams do well. I'm happy that is in fact the case with this first game. Teams aren't eaten up, teams are willing to make adaptations, but still at the bottom, got a few teams like, hopefully Alpha 7. I mean, it's just one game.
This is what I was talking about. This is why that was my team to watch, because I was wondering how they were going to be coming out, if they were going to be coming out hot, or if they were going to maintain that lead. And as you can see right there, they are now maintaining that lead. Now it's iNCO Gaming, and they're actually creating a nice little cushion for themselves. And then you have 4 Angry Men.
They finished off yesterday so well, just stepping things up slowly and surely. And the fact that they're now in 3rd position without a single chicken dinner, all the teams above and below them have wins, and they're there without a single one, goes to show how their games from yesterday actually were towards the end of the day, how strong this performance was also from them. And I still have no idea how they survived that fight versus STALWART. That's just...
Yes, it should not be allowed. Not only that, but afterwards, they almost got 1v4 again at the Wizard Tower by T2K, I believe it was Sundash, actually, which was completely mind-boggling how he actually turned their situation around, almost, at least. So that's really, really complicated. Looking at the second page of the overall rankings, GEEK Fam is leading that one.
Yeah, GEEK Fam getting stuff, as you said already, 7 right, did to reiterate the point, looking hyper-aggressive in this first game. And right now, once again, these grand finals are very short tournaments. If you're in the middle of the rankings at this point, you still have a very, very big shot to rank up super high at the end of the event.
You're about to hate me. You know which team I'm going to be looking at?
Don't do it. Don't say it. Don't say 7.
GODLIKE STALWART, because man, they had a chance to take on 4 Angry Men, as you were saying there, Alex, but they just didn't go for it. They were too passive. They were going to end up fighting them anyways. It wasn't because the circle was on them, Max. I just didn't like that play out of them.
Unfortunately, as much as I want to support GODLIKE STALWART, it was a bad play. They had a strong compound. They had all the information in their world because they had the highest position in that entire circle. They have action on the rooftops, literally almost impossible to move them away from that position in nade range. And they're just like, let's just allow the entirety of 4AM to survive. The thing is, in a position like that, 2 teams cannot survive. Only 1 team can take full control of the North. That's why so many teams kept falling one after another. The moment you allow a team like 4AM in particular to survive and get back up as a 4-man team, you just can't aim for the chicken dinner because you're just going to keep fighting one another. At that point, you move in, you clear the team, you take full control of what's up north.
I think they were relying too much on their throwables. We saw that Molly, we saw the nades too, and they just weren't hitting, and I think they took too long to actually make that push.
Yeah, I felt like I was very I got a little tilted.
Get into it.
I got it out there.
Talking about tilted, maybe a team that we haven't really talked about today at all, which is Vampire. I saw them lose 12x really early on, and I feel like that's become kind of a pattern. When 12x is not there, I really feel that has a lot of impact.
I'm actually really happy you bring that up because I talked to Sir right before the broadcast started, and I asked, is there any changes that's going to be happening? What's going to be your approach? No changes in mind. They are doing nothing. He did say that they had a few issues with Circle that kept moving away from them. Yeah. I understand that Circles can be a little bit of a frustrating part of the game, but unfortunately, you have to work with it, okay? You cannot always have that as like a quote-unquote excuse almost I want to go with. Like, Circles don't go in your favour, just make it a little bit quicker. You need to change something, unfortunately, as you said, because of that, they just play pretty quickly because the Circle just keeps moving away from them.
Quick, let me put you on the spot. How many games would you give them until they actually start making changes?
I don't think they're going to make any. They said that they haven't made any.
No. But if it was you, if you were in their shoes, when would you start making changes?
Oh, I would have made changes already after day 1. I would have already done them.
Well, looking at changes, maybe we're going to see some changes in the teams to watch from these two beautiful analysts. Maxman, you go with, Wolves. A team that has just performed beautifully.
It was a nice fight versus DRS.
Thank you
very much for your approval. No, I think that Wolves know every once in a while we see some good fights, and I do want to support the team. We saw one really good game from them yesterday in particular. They're still like getting used to, like, once again, yesterday, that was their first day playing in like this kind of tournament outside of their home region. So I think that now they've adapted, they can get a little bit more used to this lobby. I think we can expect hopefully some good things in today, and also hopefully tomorrow's matches.
Yeah, for them to be able to bounce back the way they have, I can see why you're picking them. And I'm actually picking INCO Gaming, and not just because they're gorgeous. Okay, it's not just because they are a gorgeous team. It's because now they are in first place, right? Are they going to be able to do what Alpha 7 wasn't able to do in that first game? Are they going to be able to actually maintain that lead? We'll have to wait and see. And I'm picking for Angry Man and Noah because it's looking like it might be a China day instead of a Brazil day.
Gorgeous region.
Yes, it is.
Talking about Noah maybe a little bit more specifically. I said that they kind of, it kind of felt like that to me. They were a little bit more passive at the start. Do you think we're going to see that throughout all the games today? They maybe want to stick as 4 and make sure they get into late game?
I have the impression that what we were seeing from Nova a lot yesterday, and I think we would agree on that 7, is that they struggle to get in circle. This game, I mean, as I said, not really a lot of action happening south, and that's a good thing because they read the circle and how they were going to rotate it as well. Like, we're just going to find the easiest entry point and actually get out of inserted. That's where Nova shine most, is when they are in control of their position. When they're pushing 50-50 chance they'll come out on top, but when they're controlling that position, it's so much harder to move them out of that spot. So if they have rotations like this throughout all of today, I could see that comeback happening.
And something with Noah, it comes down to are they going to be able to see some of their players early on. We saw that happen yesterday. And I mean, way back in Flux, it was actually an issue that was happening with that team. They were able to readjust that rate to make sure, like you guys were saying, trying to keep their pole forward towards the end of the game, and that's when they started doing amazing things.
But in a bit.
That's a bit tough, man. You both picked 4 AM as well. I know that you were quite, you were liking them in the last game, especially because they were under so much pressure. Is there something that sticks out to you about 4AM just in general? Because that is what it looks like to me. They've performed really well under pressure in terms of fighting scenarios. They've rarely ever really choked. You know that? No, it's a bad word, but they rarely choke in fights. Well, I feel like.
Because they're gorgeous. Too many times with that one. But I think the 4AM played that position north really well. There were third-party fights in particular really efficiently. GEEK, I mean, you brought them up as a team that was looking super aggressive. They were taking fight after fight after fight. When you're taking fights, that opens up opportunities for other teams around you, and that's what 4AM are so good at. They're super opportunistic as a team. They see an opportunity to go for a fight, create more space in their location. They're going to take that fight, and that's why I enjoyed this start of the game. Still, as we said, I do think STALWART should have taken them down, but at least they took a good fight in the north while they still could.
I feel like if that T2K player wasn't there, it would have been a completely different story. That 4AM definitely got set back. I feel like they definitely would have rotated early on. They would have been scouting a lot more, and that T2K player was just throwing them off because they were getting nated by GODLIKE STALWART. They were just so confused, but I'm pretty sure this match is going to be different.
Yeah, 100%. And one more team that you just touched on, which is GODLIKE STALWART. I feel like they're in a really weird spot now where it's just make or break.
I would say they're in the bad spot. No, that right now if you're looking at the rankings, but yeah, I don't really know where to put it. This does not feel like the STALWART that I used to see. I don't know if you would agree on that one, 7, but really, like, the team that's looking confident, willing to take these fights, like, no hesitation in their eyes when an opportunity arises in front of them, and right now it's just not happening too much right now. But look at that, see some Paraboy signs over there. So I can't quite. I was about to say I can't read, but I can read, but not the sign.
Let me put on my glass. Oh, it is gone. But what I was going to say there with GODLIKE STALWART, yeah.
There's an order sign as well. There's an order sign.
Yeah.
I'm going to go
saw
down
that one with the glass.
Give out some hugs.
What I was going to say there for GODLIKE STALWART is I'm kind of getting flashbacks of the last Pmgc. There was a team that was just kind of hyped up a lot. And it's just nothing happened, Max. I'm starting to get flashbacks. I don't want to say it, but it might happen again.
7, you continue like that, I'm going to demote you to 6. Okay? you just keep on going that way, man.
At least 6.9.
Right, nice.
Very good.
Wow. Maybe coming back to a team that we have on camera right now, which is Alter Ego, the home ground team. They have so much support today, it is absolutely unreal. What are your expectations? Can they come out of that slump they have?
They're left.
Wait, the thing is, with the amount of games you'll have, 100%, they can still make it happen. They can still climb back up. The thing is, it's going to start looking scary at the end of today if they're still in that position. Hopefully that's not the case. There's still a lot of hope available. But see how dominant the teams at the top currently are. You can't just be consistent now. You need to get those big explosive matches if you want to initiate that big comeback for Alter Ego.
I'm so glad you said that. I was about to call you out. I was about to say you were lying.
Why, bro?
That they had a chance. But I agree with you. If they want to make a change, it has to happen now. Yeah, you are in your home country. Yeah, you are in the hometown. You have the fans behind you. But all of that is not going to matter if you are just not able to perform, if you're just not able to put up plays. I mean, we have seen that. I think maybe 2 plays that stand out to me in my head out of that team. After all the matches after the 7 matches that we have played, that's just not going to be able to cut it. Not even going to be able to cut it for a top 10, and definitely not going to be able to cut it for a top 5. And I'm not even going to say top 1 because that's out of reach right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, it's very similar to other teams that we lose the players pretty early. We want to try and avoid that. Like, when they take fights, they look really confident, but I feel like it's all they're just too passive or they're over-aggressive. Like, if we find that middle spot where they take fights that make sense, that would be the ultimate go I want to see.
Talking about too aggressive, there was a situation yesterday that you were kind of disappointed in.
Don't even.
It's your choice to talk about it, but they were at somewhere near Volcano, and there was a team just above them. They pushed out the circle almost.
Yeah, the circle finisher was near Yasnai Poliana Field, like
Yeah,
down to the southern western side, and they took a fight just Nova, and that was like a perfect fight that made sense. They were aggressive on the position that just was going to get the rush to them. Exactly, and they won it. The crowd went wild, as you would expect. Fantastic. That's a fight that's strong. Then the team third party their position, and the Bluesin is pushing that team towards them, and yet they actively push out of their comfort zone for a fight that is going to come their way eventually. They don't have to chase it down, and they push it 1 by 1. That is when they're taking a fight that's over-aggressive and doesn't really make too much sense. So just put a little bit more thought behind those fights, and I think that if they just waited, they could have got themselves 3-4 more limbs, maybe also take themselves the game off that match.
Going from last to first. Now, we haven't really talked about INCO that much, Seven, but give me your expectation for this day in general. Is there a possibility they will be in first place after 12 matches being played? Still remaining there.
With INCO Gaming, I'm honestly not sure. If it was Alpha 7, I would say, yeah, I can see Alpha 7 definitely being there at the top. I feel like I'm just not convinced with the inconsistency that I saw out of INCO Gaming. I think Blank was able to point it out perfect for us. That it was, I mean, they had 2 great games at the start, and then in the middle, they kind of just disappear, and then at the end, they kind of showed up again. INCO Gaming cannot do that. That's not even a consistency that they want to have here if they want to be able to maintain that first place. And going from INCO Gaming and other teams that I personally want to talk about is going to be Flux Esports and S2G. This was a team that we're kind of wondering what are they going to be able to do here, right? With the announcement of Pmgc 2023 Grand Finals going to be in Turkey, I want to see more out of these teams right now. I mean, they started off the day with, a 15th place finish for S2G with only 1 ranking point. That's not going to be able to cut it, and then you got Fireflux only being able to get 2 points.
Okay, it's China Day today, Turkey Day tomorrow. No, it's a region step up, time at a time, okay? I'm still scared of the cast.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me put that into context. The reason why Max is saying that is because the Turkey Panthers are right next to us.
I'm scared of the death stare right now, okay? It's going to be coming my way eventually, but they could pop up, but we mentioned it, we had some clear critics about the, criticism, sorry, for the team. Fireflux, they get 1 big pop-up, and that's a lot of their points, then they kind of like miss it out for the following matches, and then you have S2G, or you get eliminations, or you get placement points, you need to find that middle ground. Those are the 2 things you see common teams, and as of right now, we haven't really
something that a lot of this team, especially the ones that are currently out, are going to save is 3rd and 5th, right? We saw INCO Gaming get in a way yesterday with being in 2nd place because the teams that were actually trying to catch up to them just weren't performing. I feel like today, those teams that are actually trying to catch up to 2nd place and 1st place will be performing, especially with what we just saw, and especially the jump up that we just saw out of 4 Angry Men. They need to find a consistency. They cannot have this off and on game. They cannot be having those pop-up performances like you're saying. I'm talking about S2G, and then just completely disappear.
I have the impression every time we go back to the first fight, what word keeps coming back is consistency. Yep. Name of the game.
It will always be.
It will always be. And even if you get those big pop-up games and then back games, you need to be consistent in how you get those pop-up games too. So there's no secret sauce. Okay, you need to just get yourself those big games or just consistency, and that's how you're going to reach the way to the top.
100%. A team maybe that's still in the middle of the pack. IHC, we saw them last game being very aggressive early on, capitalizing on a mistake from T2K, but then it fell off again. What's your thought process behind IHC and maybe their performance today? Do you think they're going to be coming back strong?
I mean, hopefully. Once again, that fight with Ziol yesterday when he took himself that 1v1 was looking really good. They were looking confident with their approach. I think it was Wolves in that 6th match when they were approaching INCO Gaming also. Like, they were a team that was seeming to be aggressive because they knew how valuable that situation actually was. I do think, though, that fight you did mention on the previous game that just happened, I think they were just seemingly not prepared that well for that fight at the time, so I'm not really going to put too much thought into it. But yeah, IG, I think that they have clear potential to get themselves some good games, and I would like to see if Mongolia has a region can have some big step ups.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I mean, with what we were talking about earlier at the beginning of the day was that IHC at least got a win already, right? They're going to have a little bit of that confidence boost, and then we're able to kind of do that, get that out of the way, in a way. Check market. Okay, we got a win. Now we can focus on other stuff and try to be a lot more consistent with IHC. I think right now with what they're doing, I don't see them being in the top 10.
We will see about that one. Let's do a quick recap of what's been happening so far. Or not, maybe we're staying right in. With the recap. It's coming right now. Ooh, oh, that is just a lovely graphic.
Oh, this is nice. By the way, something I did want to point out yesterday, nobody keeps challenging the walls in Pmgc, and I feel like at some point that we're going to be able to take advantage of that, and I think it's finally starting to show that they are going to be able to take advantage of just being able to move wherever they want, whether it's north, whether it's south, whether it's east or west. And I think that's definitely helped them out in a big, big way.
Yeah, I do also really like the rotation we saw from Nova. GEEK, of course, you're not going to have a lot of teams up in the northern side of the map, so they tend to be on these eastern circles that always go for the instant rotation northern side of the river, because you have like maybe 2-3 teams, so the chances of you clashing in another team at that stage is very, very slim. It's been working out good for them so far, and then instantly we see a lot of these teams trying to just center up, because we know this terrain here, 7. You don't have an insane amount of good position, and then you have this shit, and you're just like, oh my god, this is horrible. Yeah. North is going to be hell.
By the way, look at the 2-2 splits there from Nova.
Yes, they always do it.
They do, and we saw that yesterday, especially Miramar too, and it worked out. It kind of worked out perfect for them for that circle. And right here, I mean, it ended up working out perfect for them as well, as they were able to kind of just figure out where they were going to be going. And I feel like this is what Nova bread and butter is: being able to utilize those 2-2 splits that they end up doing, putting themselves in a great situation, and then at the right moment, actually getting together and putting themselves in an even better situation.
Exactly, because that's what these 2-2 splits enables Nova to do. It keeps your options open, and boom, the circle pops up, and they saw this, like, okay, we're going to regroup on the 2 players further south, go for the wide rotate, and as we said, avoid all of the madness up north. That is what enabled them to make it so far in the game, until once again, a little bit, but still far enough, and a really strong game.
See, and this is what I'm saying for Angry Man. It would have been a completely different story if that T2K player didn't show up. Alright, yeah, did they have to rotate? But I mean, if they would have been able to just kind of push back on GODLIKE STALWART, which, if they didn't have T2K player just laying down, being a little snaky snake, that would have ended up happening. I think they would have ended up in a much, much better performance.
How often are you going to bring back the STALWART?
I'm just going to keep doing it.
Until, keep it on my head, aren't you?
Yeah, until they start performing.
Yeah, not too cool. But at the end of the day, T2 split from Nova worked pretty good. Didn't really capitalize on it too much yesterday, but they keep doing it, and I feel like the execution on that split, in particular this game, enabled them to make it in the late game. Just like it was a breeze for them to make it.
100%. With that being said, you can hear the crowd getting hyped up because we are going into match number 2. John, Alan, and Blake, take it away. That's right, we're ready for Miramar. So are the crowd, so is everybody involved. The players have loaded into the lobby, and they're getting ready for the desert. Absolutely, I think the desert is a very scary place. A big map, Up7 usually was quite good at this one, influenced Chemin. Kind of took up that mantle over in Americas though for quite some time. It's going to be a little bit more of a difficult match. I think that with some of these other teams starting to build up momentum now, build up some actual good games, good consistency, we might see a very different Miramar to start off our day here. Excited to get into it though. Some of our players already down there in the booths. Repping Brazil. It's good to see. Honestly, some of these teams, I think they've done very, very well, considering the circumstances, considering where they've come during this year. There's some great storylines. I think iNCO, almost out of nowhere, a team that a lot of people didn't expect to do this well, have really proven a lot of people wrong, which is great to see. Love to see all the fans here as well in the crowd, trying their best. Come on now, you got to practice that type of stuff. I'm some of the talent. Some of the Indonesia talent had those backstage, those ball boys. I'm really bad at it. I'm great at it. No, I was doing it in secret. Don't like them. Yeah, I did a full like 20 run. I can't believe it. Yeah, I was like spinning in the circle. I was so good at it that I wasn't allowed to go. You don't even know what a circle is. Makes a differ. I've seen a lot of circles in my time, specifically in Pubg Mobile. Also here on Miramar as we head into match 2. Getting started right now, right here. Circle, not here yet. I can identify one when I see one. However, the play path is on our screens.
over from Minas del Sur all the way up towards just the right side of La Cobreria. So a lot of this area over towards the eastern side a little bit more inaccessible. Over towards the western side it is quite rocky, a little bit more difficult to navigate over. So it's going to be a bit of a weird start for a lot of these teams. It's going to be a case of dropping down, getting some vehicles. But I expect that we might see some stumbles when it comes to teams dropping on one another.
And certainly some scuffle potential on the cards here. Match number 8 of the 18 set. We are, of course, coming up to that halfway mark. We'll be reaching that after the next game that we play. But for now, in the desert, IHC dropping down right on top of Monte Nuevo. No one really looking to challenge them out here just yet. South side, fairly solidly occupied, but no real hot drops. Actually, maybe Buriram, with their easternmost player, might crash into DRS. If DRS don't go too much further on those parachutes, but they are just going to disengage from one another. Don't want to get locked into it too early. Foreigner on the Valle de Mar split and blank. You think you know circles? Name 3.
This one right here. I have a ring on. It's also a circle.
Oh.
That
that
sight right there, that is a circle.
Pick beat.
Tu vas aller là.
Quite able to land the big shot.
Tu dors rien. Tu veux pas ou pas?
Je vais t'enlever ça tout à l'heure quand tu vas te voir. Tu vas te voir.
Zigzagging this one out of there. Circle though off towards our eastern side. iNCO of course gravitating towards the centre of it as per usual. Quite good at this one. We have Nova doing excellently well after that last game down towards the south. Minister Morales. 4am also very much far up the way. Very similar to our last games. We kind of expect them to move a little bit early. Look at that. You know, that player from T2K. It gets done and dusted. The Wolves finally starting to howl here a little bit in the Pmgc.
Getting a little bit of strength from that last game. A late survival for the solo that remained. 3rd place. 400 men as well. Doing quite a lot. Getting a lot of eliminations in that previous game. We saw only iNCO get ahead of the 3 Chinese teams. And they were the ones to take the chicken dinner home. So, strong performance really from these squads. 400 men looking to try and capitalise on that, to try and convert on that. Gaining a little bit of momentum. Northern side, Alpha 7 will have to push in through GEEK fam. They want to get central. iNCO, typically, as they always are, already very close to that central area.
Influence Chemin. Thing I mentioned, we're doing a lot of work here on Miramar during America's PMPLs. See what they have to offer here today. Obviously, down in 4th place now, 7 points. Very good capability though to jump up a little bit, maybe even take 2nd place this game if Alpha 7 aren't able to find their footing. Because right now, they are slipping just a little bit. Got the slippery soles on when they really should have come equipped with crampons. And those spikes dug into the side of these rocky hills. Fortunately on the northern side at the moment, would like to move further down past Tierra Bronco, maybe El Zahar. Only Federals in this location, providing scouting for Influence Chemin. Perhaps another position to get some loot on board, which would be fantastic for them.
It will for everyone. No other big early occurrences going on right now. It's interesting that DRS went all the way out to Puerto Paraíso. They dropped near Los Higos on the northern shore, split north and south on those islands. And I guess they just picked up those vehicles. Once the circle had popped, they decided that they're going to be moving up past Impala, which is currently empty, for DRS's progression northwards. They can swing in from the east side near Minas Generalis.
We look at this tournament as a whole so far. We've had some very interesting ups and downs from teams, and also just looking at the leaderboards in general. 11th place IHC 49 points. You're looking all the way up towards 4am at 61. It's a 12-point difference right now between 3rd and 11th, which is really not a lot whatsoever. That's one semi-decent game, to be honest. That's all you need. That's all you want. That'll see you happy. Going up towards the top of the table. I think 4am right now, they have extended that lead a little bit, but this game has to be another decent one. What they really want is that buffer. They're currently INCO. Perhaps A7 currently still hold on to. If A7 goes down once again early with no points, it's going to be a case of A7 no longer being up towards that top side. Because I do think there's going to be a fair few teams rivaling that point scoring of 78 after this game. For A7, a lot of that saving grace is now gone. Well, that INCO now 12 points ahead. At the top of the tables, a clean 90. Will they be the first team to break 100, or is someone else just going to blast out from those 2nd to 5th positions? Or 2nd to 7th position, essentially, with the three-way tiebreaker going on there. The Wolves managing to beat the match with the Nepalese teams. Able to keep that one even.
Frozen! Ah, Frozen.
Pretty much the entirety of the tables, barring Vampire and Ultrigo. A lot of teams really like to stamp their mark during this Pmgc, and right now it seems the best time to do it, with Nova currently in 10th place, 52 points. It's never been so clear a path to success for a lot of these teams right now. Nova has dominated the scene for such a long time. The 3-peat would have been absolutely glorious. It does get further and further away every single game we pass. I think for Nova though, that last game versus INCO, really not ideal for them. Will dampen the confidence just a little bit. Potentially, it certainly does have that possibility, but either way, they did manage to get into 2nd place, and it was a phenomenal spray transfer from Nenebete of INCO to be able to take them down. So, in a lot of senses, sure, the actual result itself, in terms of the numbers, wasn't super bolstering, but I think that they can take a lot from that game in terms of confidence moving forwards. They weren't always in the best spot. They did have to move around and avoid fights where they didn't want to take them, and take them in the right fashion when they did. And I feel like they constantly made correct decisions during that last game. Absolutely, I think that where they came from, there was a real chance to actually take down the boys from INCO as well, but they're very good at hunkering down, get themselves into a position where it was safe, a lot of engagements. This time around, it does feel like this lobby is starting to realise INCO's strategy, INCO's technique, a massive clump towards the centre now, because this is what tends to happen, is that with these circles, with these teams, you get just a slow constrict of teams towards that centre side, then edge becomes a lot more valuable. You see the teams start to spread out a bit more, and INCO has been really capitalising on a lot of these teams playing edge for quite some time, in which case the centre of the circle becomes very valuable because it's so free to get into. I think INCO might struggle because of this. Again, they have so much experience playing centre, they might just be able to outplay a lot of these teams. But with this, it's no longer free whatsoever. INCO is going to be a little bit worried with the path they take it towards the circle, but it's certainly not going to be an easy central position for them this time around. I was just keeping an eye on DRS and Buriram on the southeast coast. DRS fairly slow to rotate up from Puerto Paraíso up to Impala, and it's allowed Buriram to actually catch up with them. Now a little bit of conflict potentially on the southeast coast as MyNAP looking to peek on over towards Rules, both of whom are in the blue zone now. Spotted. Rules takes a little lick of damage there, and that's going to slow things down, make it all the harder. MyNAP can't really afford to take too much himself, but Killer dispatched early into the buggy trying to flee the scene, but Rules under pressure still. Why MyNAP on the ridgeline can't quite connect the shots. The bullets are not there in the magazine. Rules can careen down the hillside, get some healing done, and get the res on. That could have been an easy one too there for MyNAP. It's funny because that shot over towards Killer was the really difficult one. The player just sending away in the buggy should have been pretty simple. Even Stevens, fortunately, pressure gets the player. And MyNAP is not able to finish this one out. Sends up towards that top side. In the meantime, he is taking massive amounts of damage. And remember, this is in the blue zone, so you will need to stop and heal. Killer re-knocked there. Actually, they're not even going to go for the... Oh, no, he is. Rules is going to stick by his teammate on this front. Try and get Killer back to feet. Couple of frags going the way of DRS. Wolves have picked up one. S2G have picked up 2. That'll be against Stalwart. iNCO have lost a player as well. There's always the issue for A7. So Influence Chemin take very similar rotational paths. I think they do it a bit sooner, a bit more slick. For A7 now they have to figure out a different approach inwards. They could just go for the blasting charge play. Try and set that one up outside the doors of Influence Chemin. And just reach inwards. Not be a bad idea. Fortunately, it's one of those fights that is not easy. Influence Chemin and A7, both widely known for their team fight capability. Very strong fraggers on board for both these teams. iNCO, like you said, losing a player. Again, what I thought would be a big issue. A lot of these teams are realizing that iNCO is getting away with playing center far too often. So now everyone sends center early on, keeps it chill, keeps it easy. Nova's figured this out too. iNCO's been shunted out on that northern edge. They're going to have to move a little bit further. This is where they come into conflict. Again though, I feel like Miramar never was their strongest map in the first place. Usually Erangel is where they shine. Most of their best rotations are there too. You can get those blast out performances on those maps. Yes, they might not be consistent. It might just be enough to see them through. It does leave them open though to the chase. Specifically at the end of that day 3 tomorrow, we will conclude everything. If you were sat at a point for iNCO where you go down, you've had your blast down games, you're sat ahead, you don't want to be in that position where you're getting no points anymore, because that really just opened the gates up for the chase.
400 men taking a knock from Cal C, and that's a very swift flush coming through as well. S2G managed to pick up a 3rd elimination so far in the game, with 58 players remaining. They haven't really had too much of a challenge to deal with. This is great news for S2G's position in this next circle, with 400 men ahead of them, and most likely in a location that they'll want to stretch out to.
Yeah, getting that initial knock and flush make it so much easier. I love the positions they're playing as well. 2 forward in the buildings, providing that high ground control, even more high ground control in the back, watching for these rotations over on the western side. It's really well done. S2G's got this one on lock on the western side. A7 currently in coal mine. Pick up some shots over towards Buriram. While careening on past.
Buriram being locked in with DRS for a little bit of time. Trying to escape the cage, but Wolves should spot that iNCO gets some airtime, both on our screens and in the into the vehicle. In the Mirado. Has to run on the rims here now near the church. Through the graveyard. We'll have to pray that they don't take too many shots here, but Beautiful is on the roof. iNCO able to hop out and go on the inside there. Hickby burns the vehicle, but allows the player into the compound.
iNCO suddenly solo player in the midst of the Wolves here. Looking to bite back versus these guys. Only 2 players for Buriram. 1 nade. Be all it takes, and he's completely going for the bank on the outside. Molotov though, that's curtains.
I thought we might have been able to get a knock in response there, but the Wolves will hold it down. Flux in the meantime, however, going to be lighting up Hickby on the hold. Maybe even stealing this point away. Manages to back off behind the ridgeline. Goes for a second peek there, and a sliver of HP. Ketch lines it up as well. And Flux, they want to snap up a couple of those points, but the Wolves managed to get that point into their wallet. 6th place now held by them. IHC moving around on the northern side. Near Hacia de Del Patron on those hills to the south side of it. They've got STALWART to deal with further south of them.
Some real cheeky stuff there coming through from Flux, trying to pick up those eliminations. Even wow, so pretty terrible spot to be in on that amount of HP. iNCO meandering around on that northwest edge. 4 AM. Do we have Pmgc to maybe worry about just a little bit? And S2G currently grouping up right on the edge of the circle now. This is where what you were talking about earlier, John, might come into play. Is thinking about moving over towards 4 AM's position. You can imagine that they're ready, waiting with the nades though. Any kind of push coming through from S2G is going to have to be quickly dealt with. A lot of times when you're sending those grenades out as well, it has to be perfectly timed, because if you pull the pin and not for long enough, and S2G is already at your doorstep, those nades are going to be all for naught, probably going to cause more chaos than benefit in those types of situations.
IHC 2 players forwards, Godless and Alex at the back. Saw them playing off each other very well. Engagement we saw from them last game, but this time around, it will be the backstop, not the forward vanguard. Alter Ego on the northeast side yet to make their turn southward into the next circle. Nova really with a massive position in here, controlling a lot of the east side. Really good spot for them. Apologies. You were just so astonished. I was, yeah. Another sound came out from the depths of my lungs, apparently. My alter ego. T2K though, on that south side, trying to make their way in. So far Nova has dealt with them quite easily. CJ is very low on HP. Vampire Esports move up. 4 players still remaining, no changes as Max said. Again, 30 points. Still a big game, would set them up with a lot of the rest of the teams. It's a very even lobby at the moment. I don't think anyone's really playing that badly whatsoever. DRS chilling on the eastern side. The east is what they own. They keep it. Locked down. Nova though at the moment have a really strong spot. Towards that centre side, Paraboy can play on the top of these ridges. Over towards the west, the compounds are very, very prominent here. One of the only compounds. Like the difficulty with this one though is it's very accessible to many different teams. When it gets to a point where this is really the only place left to go, you're going to see a lot of you trying to occupy this space. And Nova will have to regroup, recoalesce into one spot, try and focus one point of attention. Paraboy is just moving backwards and forwards now, trying to gather as much information as possible prepared for any kind of push from the team. We're really going to be pushing them from that northern side though. There's a little bit too much open ground for them to try and cover, unless Alter Ego just try and full send straight through the middle of the circle. It's the southwest I think they should be most worried about, with Wolves and Fireflux both taking occupation up there. The southeast side probably going to be able to hold itself out for one more circle, so until that gets pushed in, should be quite safe. IHC looking for them to do a little bit more, honestly. Probably one of the teams we've seen with the most clutch plays. I talked about the nades have to be timed perfectly for him, but it looks like S2G have their number now. Silas wants to put another one, another cat amongst the pigeons. Kelsey has taken a knock in the meantime, but they will be able to res this as Silas continues the bombardment. A re-knock, and 2 players now down. There's a Molotov to follow it up, and Silas is going to roll on forwards. There is a player to deal with. It's Good Xiao. He's already taken the lick of damage, and a nade over the top of the rock is not going to find the damage, and Silas has the challenge. An excellent shutdown, and Silas ruins the day for 4 angry men. Beautiful nade over the top there. The arc is strong. Aimed it perfectly. S2G realised they had to punch the hole through into this circle, and that was the excellent time to do it. Fantastic stuff there. S2G, that gives them a good chance. Unfortunately, with Kelsey going down the back, took them a little bit longer to respond than they would have liked. Luckily, Silas is just very, very strong with it there. Paraboy on the northwest point of the Nova hold did manage to find a player from iNCO, but GEEK all the way on the north took a long shot with SLR over towards Paraboy. That's going to force Jimmy to reposition to get that res, and iNCO might not be able to capitalise. They probably think he's still going. Wouldn't have heard those gunshots from all that way away. For iNCO, has moved up towards that position that Paraboy was holding, and rightly so. That's one of the easiest points of ingress towards this side of the compound. Try and take that ridge side. Paraboy locks it down. Unfortunately, that delay there has caused some issues. Wolves lose remember to Fireflux. Pick speed though, still looking over the top. Nays going backwards and forwards. Do very much. Solplay sends one back of his own. Equally as inefficient. Catch. Launching ordnance, providing cover. The Wolves will have to move parallel to them. IHC crashing into GEEK. Alex down first. Snipes able to get the flush almost instantly. Leaving the numbers at 2 on the inside. IHC with 3. Pushing through the building now. Godless. Trying to hold on these corners. Yol onto the upstairs. And GEEK don't want to take this disadvantage fight. They're going to regroup, reposition, and fight 4 versus 3. But Micah falls down to Demo as he sneaks away back into the building. The high ground occupied as well as Yol has a nade to cook. They are launching that ordnance out as High flanks around the side for GEEK. Godless falls. And IHC are down to 2 active. Yuhai around the door frame. Looks for more damage and he'll find it, but Demo's still active. Ziol for the 1-2 punch, but he's cut both of them down. Yuhai finally curtailed, and there is only one player now left standing, as IHC were able to deal with the backlines. In the meantime, there is a ruck-up coming through as well from GODLIKE STALWART. The desk says they wanted to see more from them, and this could be a whole host of points if they can move in at the right time. Damn rude for GEEK Fam. 1 or 2 players alive. Ziol isolated to the upstairs, and now GODLIKE STALWART put a break on the fight. Crazy moments here coming from IHC to hold this one off, but GEEK Fam able to re-stabilise here. Yuhai gets back up to speed. A huge amount of damage done by him, but STALWART starting to send grenades through. 3 players for them. Would be an excellent pickup if they're able to take down all 4 of GEEK Fam, but they are not willing to go for the full engagement here. If they'd have known the true numbers of the fight, they might have actually just gone for that push, but it's so difficult to know which way it's going. Nobody quite knows, unfortunately. Flux were down in the meantime on that south side. GEEK Fam and STALWART still standoff now as we hop on over to S2G. This is southwest side of the circle. Wolves further out than S2G. T2K as well as their eastern side. S2G have that way up on the cliff face. Z-Razy looking to try and just launch on over those rocks. Scrambling up the scramble. Indeed. A lot of these teams it is. Eggs and bakey, wakey, wakey. This is where things are going to start to get a little bit harder. Halfway point on that next match. Vampire Esports move up. 43 players left, 13 teams still going. Vampire Esports might have just found themselves a position. This is what I was talking about earlier with Nova. Having to recoalesce, they take the strong building for themselves. Hoping to hold out from there. This could be another big game for Nova going forward. Influence Chemin also. It's DRS. Taking it down for 7. Curio, Mafioso.
Oh, just like that.
Both pulled down. Reduced to mortals. This time around, GODLIKE STALWART getting rolled down by
GEEK
Fam, who have been able to hold out against 2 crashes in the same location. They've lost Yuhai for their troubles, but they have managed to pick up a lot of points now, Blank, on that elimination count. 6 eliminations for GEEK Fam. They are on the warpath. 3 players active for iNCO. They lost a player earlier on. Now they're fighting around the sides with S2G. 4 players active for them, but iNCO are on the inside track on the circle. Alter Ego crash across to the shack. I think S2G, with the performance they've had so far, iNCO's going to be a little bit worried, but GEEK Fam's not done yet. Still taking shots towards iNCO's side. Snipes has to hit the deck. Continue to move it around. Doesn't even know where he's being shot from. And now Dan Brugge, last remaining member for the team. And it's Alter Ego, in fact, in a pretty decent position. All huddled up in the shack. Squash could be really, really brutal here, but Razy spotted around the side, and the Wolves on the other side of this hydraulic press that is crushing S2G. Squash spotted on the ridgeline, takes Memory down. 2 players for S2G caught in the hard place there. As iNCO falls back, they want to keep 3 alive. That's all they've got to play with. Really smart play there from Squash as well, because he wants to absorb those points coming through from S2G. It may have just given them time to get these players back on their feet. They will unfortunately lose Calci in the process. Silas, a really good game so far. Silas will use his last grenade, hopefully confirm its elimination over towards Memory. Doesn't do quite enough damage, but should bleed out fairly shortly regardless. iNCO playing around this edge, just give them a massive amount of cover. Said earlier, it's probably one of the best places to crash onto this position. Fortunately, still taking damage. I think that might be either from Dan Brugge or Alter Ego. Of course, the knock coming through from Squash means that Memory's point goes over to iNCO. 9 eliminations for S2G right now. Dan Brugge looks to line up more shots with the SLR over on towards Alter Ego. That is a lot of damage he can pour through those open doors. Unfortunately, he's a little bit broadside to iNCO's position, to S2G. Nova, if they move a little bit further in, not that they have to, with the circle as it is, as it sits, they won't have to move too far at all. GEEK Fam off to a huge chance here in the Pmgc. With Yuhai still on loan as well, you wonder if this might be one of the last chances for GEEK Fam, Pmgc, to put up a big performance or even look for the grand final title. With Micah back on board as well, they've created a fantastic squad with the help of Yuhai. Just wondering who will fill those boots for him. But right now, they've got to take what they can get. Wolves. They survived late into the game for the first match, but for the second one, they will take a tumble a little bit earlier than they would have liked. 4 eliminations though, not a disaster, but not what they needed to try and pick the pieces up. S2G have an answer to INCO. That's really, really fast there. 12 eliminations on the game now already as the GEEK fan. Gonna add that one up to 13. Unlucky for some, but S2G will absolutely be glad of those points. Hamzy, sure, has been knocked, but that's rezzed very, very swiftly by Ray Z. In the meantime, Influence Kevin going to take the mad dash across the road. Get past that crate and up to the hillside. Backfire on the broad of it. This killer still from DRS is the last player standing. It proved to be troublesome. S2G, Silas currently looking like a trash compactor at the moment because he is crushing it right now during this match. Hamzy G assisting with some great shots coming through from the Mini 14 and the Scar as well. A great supportive kit for him. Getting the current damage as well. Look at that. Really nice evens on the damage score. Vampire Esports just barely living the moment. Holding on for dear life. Basically on life support at this point in time. Sucking down the oxygen. It's not going super well. There's nades from Lil Boy. Stone has one of his own. Did manage to get the heal off, and the stims are going to start to tick up now. So the longer they're in this, the better chance they have. 15 eliminations now for S2G. And there's nades. Hang on a minute. Is this Alter Ego's coming through? Pubg burns them down. 3 players from Influence Kevin. They've taken a knee, and nades over. A brutal Alter Ego's versus Influence Kevin, and it's going their way. Nova are also chiming into this as they tipple over the top, picking up a couple of those points. 1 player remains, and it's Pubg for Alter Ego into the vehicle. 2 points for them. Nova picking up the share of it though with 3. And up to 6 teams remaining. Pubg, that last golden survivor for the team, many times now, but again, the massive eyes are on over towards S2G with that 15 eliminations. Everyone's staring at that. You're going to be worried about as well. 53 points at the start of this game with 15 on the top of it. You're looking at a big points total. 68 after that, not including points rankings either. So this could be a really good game for S2G to see them towards that top side. We're waiting for that standout performance coming through from Turkey, that region that has just given and given this year. Order from the top of the room.
Order, putain, order.
For so long here in this position, but they are now with their backs to the circle and will most likely have to move towards S2G. Lil Boy from Influence Kevin had his team taken away, but will still truck on. T2K getting picked apart now as S2G rack up 16. They started this game blank, 37 points behind the leader of iNCO, with 1 elimination coming through from iNCO as well. They are going to have one hell of a game, but this is how you do it. S2G with this match have got the potential to take over the top of the table. Last zone now. Everyone's thinking about this one. Nova, second game in a row, they find themselves in a fantastic position. Just taking up that approach that iNCO showed us before, but doing it in a way that looks so aggressive. Frozen just sits up the top. There goes T2K. Alter Ego ladder up to 4th place. A potential to go further. And S2G now start their assault over towards Nova. Down the hill. First nade goes through. Does not get anything done. Ray Z takes a bit of damage. Frozen. Order. Both going up at the same time. Trying to play off the back of one another. Pubg, look at this. Good play spoiler. Buoyed by the crowd. The power of the fans. Keeping him alive right now. Nova looking to try and crunch that one out of him. And they are being so cautious here, Black. 5 eliminations on the game right now. And S2G just suppressing that ridgeline. Little boy from Influence Kevin is still here and he still wants to play. Order falls first. Jimmy pushes up to the rock and will handle business. But this is an opportunity for S2G. Unfortunately, that door is shut. 1 player falls. The second 2 to follow. Silas is the last to be put under pressure.
See! And Nova. C'est pas les meilleurs pour rien.
They come back swinging.
Si.
Same game there from Nova.
Si.
In the right order, with the right suit. I don't think that could have gone better for them. They picked a great position. Paraboy played a very, very busy game. Up towards that top side, back down again. He was scouting, never idle throughout this entire thing. It was a very, very well done match. For S2G, we have to congratulate them. I think everything went topsy-turvy towards the end, though. The shots coming from behind Alter Ego, with Little Boy getting in on the mix. I think S2G was completely confused towards those last moments. Regardless, they had gone through the ringer to get to that point. Unfortunately, Nova was just a little bit too hard of a challenge to tackle.
Just that little bit, unfortunately for them. With a couple more nades, they might have been able to do a little bit more. If Pubg had gone down earlier, they might have been able to move around the site a little bit more effectively. But they played it with 3 for so long, and they got so much done for S2G.
Absolutely, they did. I think for S2G, they have to completely congratulate your boy Silas. On the other hand of things, Alter Ego, what a way for it. I mean, I mentioned it earlier on, saying that Pubg, this guy is the golden survivor of the team, and he's certainly got a lot done there.
Order frozen. Putain! Putain! Ah, damn! Left heel.
Being right at the bottom of the hill.
Left heel.
Pretty much where you get caught out almost 100% of the time. The fact that he made it that far, fantastic stuff.
I didn't quite catch actually if S2G went down 2nd or 3rd. I think it was 2nd.
Yeah.
But Pubg surviving till at least 3rd is a really, really great result.
Absolutely. I think anyone here who's an Alter Ego fan is going to be really happy with that one.
So you mean everyone here?
Everyone here. I mean, 10 points overall. You know what I will say about the audience and the fans here? It is very refreshing to get an audience that is cheering practically everyone on. I mean, even when S2G is doing really well, making some big plays, there's real appreciation from the crowd for those big plays. It makes me happy. It gets me hyped and hoping that if you guys can hear it at the back, you're getting hyped at home too.
I'm sure they can. I don't think you can miss it, to be honest, Blank.
Absolutely.
And it's also refreshing to have a crowd that has rhythm.
Oh, yeah. They really do.
They've been keeping those drums going, and I'm sure we'll hear them for many more matches to come, Blank. Nova, to be fair, in that circle, it was their game to lose, right? The one test that they had was to push out of that compound, and it was against the diminished forces from S2G, from everybody else that surrounded them. Nova were able to take care of business and handle it for a chicken dinner.
Thank you so much, John Allen and Black, and welcome back to the desk. My goodness, is that one hell of a storyline we have back in our hands. S2G taking home a win in a, at least points-wise, win in a incredibly convincing fashion. But in the end, it was actually Nova that got the chicken dinner. Tell me about that.
I think it's fair to say, Seven, this is the Nova we wanted to see. This is them. They're turning up the heat right now in this 2nd day of play for the Grand Finals. And I don't think they're going to slow down. They're going to keep the heat going even higher and higher and about to melt the entire arena here.
We've been teasing it. We were talking about it yesterday at the end of the day. We talked about it at the beginning of day 2. Nova on day 2 is an absolutely different animal. I mean, for them to be able to get 24 points, but as you guys mentioned, I mean, STG, we got to give them some credit. We've been talking about how, yeah, they're able to get elimination. Sometimes they're able to get placement points. This was the perfect marriage for both of them. Silas, he just put on an absolute clinic this game. That nade onto 4am, he eliminated almost the entirety after that with his team on walls. If he cleared out Nova, they just cleared all of PEL pretty much. But today before he goes to sleep, he's definitely going to be looking at that 1v3 versus 4 angry man. He's going to be like,
a cool memory has been created.
Something incredibly interesting about that game was as well, Kelsey, you also started playing in that team. He got taken out very early on, but they still managed to pull through almost the entirety of that game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Silash is pretty much like things out a lot. This is a big portion of that game. It was a Silash show at the end of the day. But yeah, that's the cool thing, right? If you're still a team that, despite losing a player as valuable as Kelsey, as I say, like I do really like Kelsey, one of the top players in the European region. It goes to show how good all of the players currently are on that roster. Even when they're missing one great player, they can still perform and just pop the hell off. Currently with the first dragon and the first elimination missing match.
Before we head into a small break and afterwards, we'll have time to discuss that match in detail. But before we go into the break, quick shout out to our sponsors, starting off with Xperia and the Xperia World Market, and obviously the Xperia Stream that you can see right here, which were co-developed in collaboration with professional esports players. You can run PUBG Mobile with Xperia Stream's total cooling system and multiple boards for intense gaming and streaming. And also, I want to say Prime Gaming. If you haven't checked out Prime Gaming yet, it is time to do so. You will get free games, not only games, but free in-game content also for PUBG Mobile. So make sure you sign up and check that one out. Also, we want to thank the PBESI, which is the local association in Indonesia in terms of esports, the Hanam Esports, and we want to thank them so much also for their support in terms of, this tournament, this beautiful tournament that we have in Jakarta. And last but not least, you want to get your eyes peeled on the survey. You may have seen it already if you have been active in the chat. If you haven't, make sure to do so. You can check out the Pmgc survey link on either in the chat and subset or on all the social media platforms. So make sure to check that out. And the best thing about it is, if you do give us feedback, if you do answer that survey, you will get a chance to win some amazing prizes from our sponsors. So thank you all in advance for sharing your feedback via the Pmgc viewer survey. With that being said, we're heading into a small break, and we're going to do that as fast as we can because when I get talking about that game, see you in a bit. What an absolute crazy performance coming in from S2G and obviously Nova as well. We will be taking a look at the overall rankings in just a second. But guys, that was one hell of a performance, not only from Silas, but also from Nova. And I want to talk about them in specifics. Their rotations and their playstyle, we talked about it in the first map as well. It did seem to change now in terms of, in comparison to yesterday.
The 2D split, no, they tend to do it quite a bit, and they actually had, and we talked about it at the start of that game actually, but they had a 2-1-1 split towards the side of Graveyard, and the moment they had that amount of position, that amount of terrain in their control, in that, I think it was phase 2 at the time, it's like, okay, this game has the potential to be absolute gold for them, and in that case, 7, it truly was.
Yeah, when it comes to Nova, I mean, if they put themselves in a great place, this is a team that definitely can take huge advantage of that. With the fragging power that they have, not only from Lauren, not only from Paraboy, but from everybody else too. But now, the overall ranking, S2G currently in second place now, taking over Alpha 7. I actually did not see that happening. And so one of the questions that you guys were asking me, do I think Ego Gaming was going to be first place? They're still being first place.
Yeah, I want to say, there's one thing I cannot take away from Paraboy. He is a man of his word. He is a man of his word. He said, I top 5, I know what, maybe top 3. He is making it right back up the ranking. What a step up. He told me top 5. I kind of gave him a look. I was like, are you sure? And he's like, you know what? Yeah, top 3. Screw you, 7. We're going to make it 2 games.
They might make it 3 games, to be honest, as we come to the second page here. DRS Gaming, this team we really haven't seen much. I mean, currently 6 points, and I kind of want to go down a little bit more. DRS Esports, I feel like this team, they can definitely have a great performance, like how Nova has been doing. They can definitely push themselves out to that first page.
Exactly, and of course, I take it back. Not of course. Alter Ego at the bottom. Having so far their best game so far.
Yes.
Right? That was by far their best game. We did say during the match, dodgy rotations.
Yeah.
It was a little bit weird the way they're rotating things. I think they could be improved upon heavily. I hope they can use this game as a good launching point in the future matches and get up in good position. I got the scar for a reason. It means I believe right now, Felix. So I'm going to believe in the home boys right now.
You believe in them, I believe in you. Match number 9 is going to be Sanhok. And that is especially interesting because the biggest game yet points-wise did come from a Sanhok game. That was 8-7, and they do not seem to be performing at all today, 7.
Yeah, this was the big question mark for me for Alpha 7. Were they going to be able to maintain that first place? It's a team that tends to pop off, but if they start slow, it definitely hinders their performance, definitely hinders their confidence that they're able to have for players. Now, for this match, though, I'm going to be looking at Influence Chemin because they didn't perform that well yesterday when it came to Sanhok. They ended up, I think it was with a 14th place finish and only 2 eliminations. And that's why I currently have their amazing jacket on. Shout out to their CEO for letting me, for actually giving me this one. I feel like this team, if they're trying to maintain themselves there within the top 5, they're trying to maintain themselves within that race, they need to have a good performance here in this Sanhok.
I'm a bit annoyed at how tricked out you are every time, 7. Everything just fits him so well.
This is nice.
I was a little bit chilly. I was like, I'm going to support my homeboys while I'm at it. But I like it. It's cool.
I am jealous as well. Do you have just a whole cupboard of merch? Is what I want to say.
I brought my cupboard here with me.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. I don't know how you guys made that happen with the price, but either way, let's look at the teams to watch from both of these candidates. The Max 1 and 7 Worlds Gaming. S2G, Nova, and Influence Chemin coming in from Max.
I picked Silas more specifically, though.
Not an S2G, but Silas.
No, I mean, because we had that question we bought on the pre-show for today, right, Alex? And me and 7 were in agreement on that one. We sometimes for S2G see just eliminations, no placement, or just placements and not elimination. They got such a good even split of both eliminations and elimination and frag. Same thing. Eliminations and placement points. I want to see that continue. I want to see that flow keep going for these next 4 matches of today. This is the S2G we want to see at their peak.
And I mean, S2G actually ended up in a 4th place finish yesterday in this Sanhok. If they're able to maintain that momentum with the amount of eliminations that they just got, if Silas continues to pop up, which I mean, I know you're hoping he does, I can see them making even a bigger push there towards the top. Now, you're going to see a pattern here. You saw Flux, GODLIKE STALWART, and then Influence Chemin. These are teams that I feel like they need to react, especially with the teams that are towards the bottom. But with Influence Chemin, what I was just talking about, they need to make sure they make something happen here. They usually tend to take a Brazilian team, especially, they take advantage of the Sanhoks. Yesterday it didn't happen. Hopefully today's gonna happen. And for Flux, I mean, this is a team that got a chicken dinner yesterday and had an impressive chicken dinner, not just any chicken dinner with like 5 elims. It was over 10 eliminations. We haven't seen them at all today.
I do want to. Something comes up to my mind right now. you know that in the past, Alpha 7 STALWART used to, not share boot camp, used to fight a little bit over boot camp, right? STALWART's not been looking in their best shape right now. Alpha 7, a little bit slow today.
Yep.
Seeing how the Sanhok went yesterday, I'm thinking maybe Alpha 7 are going to have a change of heart and try and go back to boot camp because that is their home ground. That is the position for which they're playing really well. I don't know.
But Alpha 7 ended up winning yesterday in Sanhok.
I know, but that's the thing, because they're feeling confident, maybe like they want to change
No.
it. No, you don't think so? It was a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
I just threw it out there.
100% disagree with that.
And that's fine.
I would hope they wouldn't do that, especially with how well it went for them yesterday. Hopefully, this will be the confidence booster that they need for today to get them out of that bad stretch. I mean, we've seen it before. When I talked to the players, you were able to tell they were super confident coming in today, and I'm pretty sure right now they are not feeling that way as they are currently not even in top 2.
Talking about confidence, a team that I just slightly want to touch on is 4AM, because that's the second time in a row they lost a player early on, and they got absolutely destroyed by Cycles. I can imagine that's going to hurt their confidence as well. 4AM, none of you guys picked them just now, but I still feel like they're still very much in the running for the title. Is that so?
Yeah, 100%. Every single team still has a chance to make it up there, right? Even Alter Ego in 16th position still has a chance to find their way back up there, but look at Nova. Get on smiles on their faces now. They're like, it's the day 2 bump, as they would say. They're looking so strong right now, but as I said, any team can still make it up there. Back-to-back champion.
Yes.
Might want to make room for back-to-back champion.
Oh.
You're going to need a big one later on.
Okay, all right. I wasn't going to say it, but it does sound so...
That step up, mate.
It sounds so good, though.
Yeah, it really does.
Now,
are there many esports where you have like 3 world champions? Very little. I can't even think of one.
Tribe Gaming. Yeah, that's just off the top of my head. We don't have to talk about that.
Fair enough, okay.
For me, though, another team that I kind of want to be looking at, we just saw them on the screen, GODLIKE STALWART. That team, I mean, you were mentioning too, if there was ever a time where they can take advantage of the situation, they know that now nobody's hot dropping them in boot camp. They know they're going to have a little bit of freedom to work with, right? I think yesterday they were actually able to work within that freedom, and during their detention, they got caught. And nothing ended up happening out of that. I'm hoping this might be a change for them. We always talk about it, especially I always talk about it, the teams can use Sanhok to just kind of spring themselves up out of the bad stretch.
Especially because normally, as you said, they drop normally in boot camp. You would say that is a position with Trifecta that opens up so many opportunities for you in pretty much any circle you might be able to almost say. And it just felt, as I said, we're not able to really do much with it. And I do want to see them make use of such a central position on Sanhok to its full potential. They didn't do it yesterday. We don't have many Sanhoks who can have 2 opportunities to make it happen now. So I do want to see STALWART use that position a little bit more to its full extent.
100%, and talking about aggressiveness and using that position, we just had a fight from GEEK, and you were saying GEEK's aggressiveness is something that really stands out for you as well, and that aggressiveness almost got punished in the last game when they breached, when IHC breached them in that compound. They still made it work, but just barely.
Yeah, that was actually a really interesting fight we were looking at. You know, the IHC GEEK fight. I think that Dan Brood was maybe a little bit slow to join up in that fight, but
a lot.
Just very, very late. He just almost didn't get it back into there. But I don't want to do it.
Do it.
Back to STALWART.
Yes.
They third party the fight. Me and Seven are like, oh yeah, this is great. They go for an amazing third party, and then they don't fight it. Like the idea was good, but the execution, there's no execution. That's the issue.
I wouldn't even call that a third party, to be honest, because they just decided to drive by. They were driving by. They were like, oh, you guys are fighting. Let me think over it. Nope.
They did throw in some nades though. They did get the flashes as well, and I believe 2 on 1 of the players. So they were able to eliminate that team as a whole. Looking at Alpha 7, I want to come quickly back onto them because Sanhok is essentially their home ground in terms of best performance so far for them. And they've had 2 games where they went out really early. What are your chances for them in this game? Because none of you guys picked it.
Go first, Mac.
No, you go.
I'm hoping they win it. I know I didn't have one of my teams to watch, and that's because I wanted to make it a theme of just teams that I feel like definitely need to react. I feel like Alpha 7 would have fit there, but this influence Chemin just looks so good on me right now. This jacket. But with Alpha 7, I feel like if there was if they could win a match, it would be this one. Their aggressiveness that they usually tend to showcase plays out wonderful for them. We saw how they were able to control the compound yesterday too, how they were able to do a 4-4 split. You were talking about how at one point you wanted them to adjust, and it's like they were listening to you because they did just that. And they weren't just waiting there in the compound, they actually were defending it. They were making people back up. I mean, I think it was Revo where he threw a nade into INCO Gaming when INCO Gaming was thinking about pushing onto them. that backfire as Rebel was just being able to just clutch it up.
And what I loved in that game in particular for them is that they knew the weaknesses of that compound. They knew that, okay, there's a lot of teams that are going to just keep going downhill to their location. North is literally the weakest point of that compound on the trifecta of the road. And what they do, they actively push out, send 2 players, clear all of S2G. The moment that happens, the south is your only problem. The moment that happens, you can easily push out that location, you know where the opposing teams are going to be standing, and you just close it off super easily.
So what you're saying is they're going to win the Sanhok?
I just want a boot camp fight, okay? I do.
No.
I just want a boot camp fight.
You really want Godlike STALWART to get eliminated first? Well, come on.
That's the thing.
Come on, Max.
I do not have a comeback to that. So you win this one, 7.
Thank you.
Coming back maybe to something that we discussed earlier, to Nova and their play style today, which is, taking things slow, staying as 4, making sure you get all of these players alive, and maybe have very confident splits as well. Now that Sanhok isn't always possible, but you still pick them, Max. Any reason behind it?
Just because they've been looking so good today.
Yeah.
I think it's not it's not a match-specific thing, it's just that today they got themselves second place, got themselves a chicken dinner, and they're playing in circle. That is something we didn't see much of them yesterday. They just kept getting caught out of circle, taking fights out in the blue. They're not doing that today. And that's where Nova really excels, is when they're fighting in circle, when they have full control of their terrain. And I don't think they're going to change it. Even on Sanhok, I think it's going to keep going that exact same pace.
If Nova does end up getting a win, right? INCO Gaming goes off early, S2G doesn't really pop off. We could see Nova end up in first place after this match.
Wait, what? Wait, they started in what position? I can
tell you, they started 12.
With 36 points.
Yep, and they currently have 76 points. So in 2 games,
they got 40 points. I swear, man, I always make this joke during the league stage where normally they have, like, in the previous system, they would have, like, 1 week where they just not perform. And it's like their vacation. I didn't think they'd take a 1-day vacation in the finals. Like, they're just, like, pushing it.
I think it was maybe Parable just getting used to that 4-finger layout that he was telling me. Oh, look at him talking about it. Yeah. Mostly ladies went wild too. I heard. I went wild too. I need to calm down.
Whoa.
I need that jacket.
It's insane, man. The legacy of a player like Parable. He just looks at the camera, little heart, crowd goes wild. Like, I've not played many players like that.
Sorry, I had to go wild there for orders.
Anyway, we muted you because you're screaming.
Well, I can understand why the 4th place right now for Nova, it's kind of make or break time for them as well in terms of getting towards that top 3 against that at least today. We've talked about all of these teams now, but we've left out one in specific. That is INCO, the 3rd in line in terms of the Brazilian teams. They also lost a player early on, again in the last match. So both these matches that we've seen today, they lost a player early on. Is that a recurring theme now? Is that something we have to expect? Because they do seem to be rotating quite aggressively, quite risky today.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that we've seen a lot of teams have the issue where they're losing a player or 2 early game. If you can improve on that, work on that, fix it, it's going to be better for you for a lot of teams. I mean, it's pretty much a given, right? But I think the changes can still happen. For the teams at the bottom, we did bring this up earlier, right? Even if you're at the bottom of the rankings, you can make it up there. Unfortunately, you cannot make it up there without making changes. And another player, I just want to go one. I look at every single player, like, it's just so cool they're here, man. It feels the land, like, atmosphere.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I absolutely love it. And talking about going wild for players, one team that I actually want to go wild for, Vampire Esports. We haven't seen them, Max. I know, I didn't want to do it, but I mean, currently 15 plays, 34 points, and being able to, out of those 34 points, 19 eliminations. I know you got a chance to talk about with Zertani talking about the changes. I even asked you earlier, when would you? By the way, he said, just in case for some reason you just stood it in, Zertani, the coach of Vampire Esports, said that they're not making any changes. Yeah, after 2 matches, you're currently 15th place. You have to make changes. I love your mom too.
We all love your mom.
Your mom. That's an interesting sign. I think there's 1 letter too much right there. I think we'll have to fix that sign. But it came from a good place, you know?
Oh, there they are.
Really good place.
There we have them, the number 1 team at the moment. INCO, 4.6 average eliminations, especially the damage is something to behold. 1,071.
Wait, Max, hold on. You skipped my question. We got too distracted by that awesome sign.
What was the question?
That gorgeous sign.
Bon,
Do you make
moi
changes
j'ai
with
le
Vampire
téléphone.
Esports?
Yes, because
C'est
all
un
of the teams at the
téléphone
bottom have made
utilisé.
changes. They are slowly
J'ai
rising
WhatsApp,
up.
je n'ai que
One team has
WhatsApp.
not moved too
Sous le
much.
deuxième,
Unfortunately,
c'est là
it's
où j'ai mon
Vampire.
iPhone.
Right?
C'est là où je travaille et je
Because
fais
when he was talking, when I was
tout
talking
le
about those changes with him, they're not
Donc
going
là,
to
je vais
make
commencer par t'envoyer un lien que tu télécharges
he said, but we're just going to
l'application.
hope
Je vais
that some come our way.
t'expliquer ce que c'est.
At
Elle
some
s'appelle
point,
Binance. C'est
Seven
comme
will
une
show that
banque
Snowball like
pour la
back.
crypto.
To some
Sur
extent,
les banques
also
physiques.
Seven
Il y a aussi les banques
your own luck.
virtuelles.
And I think the
Comme
Vampire
Binance,
said,
c'est comme
I
une banque
don't
pour la
make those
crypto.
iterations. He's
Je
just
vais
going to
t'envoyer
put
ça,
them
je
in that
t'envoie le parrainage.
position.
J'ai fait ça
Need
tout
to
à
see
l'heure
the
avec
Vampire making adaptations
un
right
des
in
gars
the
de mon
event
équipe
we
e-sport.
I was expecting
Dans la
somebody
nuit,
else to
lui il était disponible, donc on a travaillé sur ça. Lui il a fait des trucs et tout.
Yeah, in
Toi
terms
de
of
ton côté,
changes,
je
is
vais
there
avoir
any
t'envoyer
other
ça
team
et
that
ensuite
you
on va
have spoken to maybe? And then
travailler
we're talking
par
about
rapport à
changes
ça.
as well. I mean, Vampire said already they're not going to want to change much. Maybe Alter Ego in terms of change. Is there something you would specifically change? If we could give them one, one piece of advice. I know you were wearing the scarf already. There's one piece of advice we could give them. What would it be?
Piece of advice I would say, scouting. The way they scout. Yeah, because we had, in the previous game on Miramar, weirdest scout possible. You had two players in really good position for scouting, and you would have two players far behind them, serving no purpose, unfortunately. I would want to see the scouting having purpose, having positions where they can actually get strong information, and then actually get in those positions relatively quickly. That speed things up a little bit quicker.
You're saying far behind them. You also forgot to say they were so far behind them. They weren't even in the circle. They weren't getting any information. So I appreciate, right, that they're trying to do a split, but that split wasn't going to be doing anything.
Look at Nova.
Yeah.
Do those splits in the circle. You're good to go.
Oh man.
I want to read all these sites now. There's
No,
pure
Paraboy.
gold.
I'm busy reading them as well. Yes. I don't know, but lots of Paraboy sites. I mean Paraboy stuff, but I wouldn't have expected that many. It's just crazy. Almost every second one.
I saw an I Love Luxy earlier from Bigatron. Sadly.
They weren't here. They did the signing sessions.
They were here.
They'll
I saw
appreciate
them.
it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hopefully. Hey,
He's
there's
back.
your mom.
He's back.
You think he did that on purpose? Or you think he was trying to say "love you, mom"?
I think that was the intent, and I think the Google translated him dirty. You know.
I think you're being nice. I think you really meant to say "love your mom."
My mom's a nice person. No, I like her. So thank you. I appreciate it. Hi,
Same.
mom. How's it going?
Shout out to my mom.
Shout out to my mom.
Some 4M fans as well in the crowd. We saw some Australian ones in the pre-show. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that one. We were going through the crowd earlier before the broadcast even started as well. I believe Bex was talking to an Australian fan as well, supporting Nova. So we have literally people from all over the world in this audience, and we saw some Chinese fans getting here to Indonesia, Jakarta, just for this tournament as well. It's just completely crazy to me. I love the energy. It's unmatched.
And I believe we have heard that tomorrow is like we're not fully packed tomorrow.
We might be sold out.
This is with some seats still available. Tomorrow is gonna be absolute pure madness as we're slowly getting ready for this next match.
My body's ready.
Bon, attends. Tu ne veux même pas le faire.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are not wasting any more of your time. We are getting into the next match. John Allen and Blank, take it away and have some fun with this one. Thank you very much. We are going into Sanhok for the one and only for today. Playing off this game will be halfway through the Pmgc Grand Finals here in Jakarta. Seen a lot of fan support for the rosters so far today. Nova have been on a massive upswing. Absolutely. I think now they've got their place towards the top side of the lobby. It's really good news for Nova. I think they had to have a big bounce back today. No one expected that to happen in the first two games, though. That is what was very surprising. For a second place to a first place, this is the Nova we're expecting. Again, China is all about adaptation, and Nova is the best at it. They're so quick, and again, with that organisation behind them, very easy to identify any mistakes, and they're very good at taking on that advice on board and adapting with it and implementing it into their own gameplay. I think that's what is so astonishing and good about Nova in the first place. It's just how easily this team is able to quickly get things done and make themselves into an even better team come the next day. Obviously, Sanhok now a little bit more, let's say, random.
I still think there's a lot of skill involved here, but it can be one of those cases. If you lose a member early, not necessarily because of you, maybe a little bit of luck, but we'll see what happens here in Sanhok, because we're going to get to it very shortly.
Yeah, a little bit higher variance potentially on this map, so we'll have to wait and see who's going to be able to hold their own. The players seem to have sorted it all out. We're just waiting for that plane path to come on through, and then we'll be heading straight on into the jungle. Green stage means Sanhok on the cards. Let's head into match number 9.
Halfway through now, John, as you said, grand finals. Almost there to the end now. IHC in the plane, Vampire's already out. Max was saying they might need to be making some changes at this point in time, despite not wanting to. I think that when you do look at Vampire Esports, they are quite hard-headed in that sense. They will just keep trying to make it work, taking the sledgehammer to the wall until it starts to break. iNCO though, let's have to call that last game. They weren't able to get towards the centre as quickly as they would like. I think a lot of these teams start to realise what is the best way to play these circles. Just go straight for that centre, find yourself some priority compounds and play around it. Some of these teams are in a better position to do it just with the way the circle lies at the beginning, and it's no longer free real estate for iNCO, making a very long journey to get into those centre positions.
Bit of a close drop there between Order and 2 players for GODLIKE Stalwart. Fortunately, did manage to get a little bit further away. I know, majorly occupied by Nova in this scenario, but Order has been spotted very separate from the rest of the roster. We're going down here with pretty much the adjustments into this stage. Fortunately, right behind the rocks now. Doesn't have a weapon to play with. We can just flee through the hill. They should have seen there's a team over the wall ruins, and that flank is the northwestern circle. You can't plug in and freeze it. We had it just flashed up for us on that northwestern island, where it's likely to finish off the next.
Ultra already have Fnatic on top of the mountain itself, ready and waiting. Order gets the pickup in the grab car, in the grab bike. Makes its way on out, delivery on towards the rest of the team. Vampire Esports passing currently. This could be a good game to get some points on board. Influence Chemin down towards boot camp. Upset not challenging that one out towards the far week. Long way to go for them, but again, Sanhok quite small. Now, that position, DRS are very close in the vicinity.
Still on the wings. The DRS. Getting across towards Darby. Right now. Hit the floor soon enough, and they'll have to make their way more. Short iNCO also on the south side of the map towards Vampire, with a little bit of an outpost in there, especially on the west side. No real conflict there. Influence Chemin crossed early from boot camp. Take control of the compounds to the east side of that northwest island. Already contesting with GODLIKE Stalwart, who have moved a little bit north of that confluence compound, as well as Vampire, who are on that north side near Hutton. They've sent Ravenclaw down to control one of the compounds, give themselves a foothold on this area of the map. You've got Wolves crossing on the northern side bridge as well. Everybody looking to move a little bit earlier than we've seen before on Sanhok on this.
Again, it's that meta we're talking about. Get towards that centre area, pick yourselves up some of those priority compounds, and specifically with this type of shift, there's not a lot of those priority compounds, and that actual position on the map will be taken up quite quickly. So getting people over there nice and early is a relatively smart decision. Influence Chemin realised it, decided not to try and get all that loot from boot camp. Instead, just a quick loot and boot over towards that western side of the map, passing across the shallow edges of the river. STALWART also moving up towards the position. Already have 2 players towards the roadside on that bridge. 2 behind in top and Pika, but IHC taking a fight with S2G, coming off the back of a very good game on Miramar.
S2G, phenomenal. They topped the points tables from that Miramar, even though they didn't get the chicken dinner. A massive point scoring game for them, leaves them 10 points behind iNCO. IHC loses Yol to a knock. Not going to get flushed just yet, but Influence Chemin taking a scrap. Not going to take a knock themselves either. Take that back actually, as Flux do manage to light up Kayovsky, but a should be resable. Ketch and Lux both going down now. Solke repositions to look for these reses. Ketch still behind the rock. Solke's smoke does bloom there. And Solus not really going to put too much in the push. Hitting the deck with the back shuffle there. Law will not be able to get those bullets over the top. And reses should be available here now for Fireflies.
Rough position to be in. But again, they need to make their way over towards this western side. So getting here nice and early. Need to solidify themselves just a little bit before we start to make this move. S2G as well. Moving across the bridge on the north side after a little engagement with IHC. They get themselves in over on that northern side of Vampire Esports. Might just have spotted this. Ooh.
Certainly will now. Schweppes takes shots. S2G now know there's a fight to be had. Influence Chemin. Not too far to the south, but they are still playing split on that river, trying to control that crossing. I find value there. Kelsey gets the man on the cross and Schweppes taken down. Spot the drop as well. Vampire trying to just fully disengage from this. Losing a little bit of power there. Stoned up the top, maybe. Shots on the Kelsey. Spots the player, but the door is shut before he can get the flush. Does get the knock, however, and that's going to slow S2G down somewhat.
Vampire Esports might be able to get back together with this as well. The down players is moving out by AE. They've spotted this. They're onto this case at the moment. Sniff out the clues down towards this west-eastern side. They are finding shots.
Ooh.
Just one down. That's from Little Boy, in fact, on the southern edge of this engagement.
On that 2-2 split from Influence Chemin right now. Still playing both sides of the river. I really like this position from them. Gives a lot of control and slows a lot of teams down, forces them to fight off against one another. So you know your south flank and your north flank teams are going to be a little bit more diminished in power. Ravenclaw given the runaround by Fnatic. Shot's not quite going to get the knock there, and Ravenclaw will have to invest in some more healing. Will have to spend those chips.
QBZ. Little bit difficult at that kind of range. Ooh, dear me. IHC just about getting away with it. I take it back. Doesn't even make it to the building. T2K can maybe pick up some eliminations here. Free reign over the bridge on the north side. So many teams already making their way in. 4am get to move up to 7. Right on the rarest edge. There on Quarry. Buriram also need to make it. iNCO for the first time in a long time. Right on the edge of the circle. Nowhere near the centre at the moment.
For now, anyway. That's potential to change, I'm sure. Next circle popping, and that should confirm it. Yes, we are going to the northwestern island now. So, the top of the mountain value skyrockets blank, and that is going to be held by Alter Ego themselves. Oh, backed off the ridge line. A lovely shot coming through from Beautiful. From the Wolves. Game 1 went a little bit better for them than Game 2. On the day, that is. So hopefully match number 9 they can get a little bit more done and try and join Nova towards the top of those tables. Try and catch up with 4 Angry Men as well.
You look at Alter Ego. A lot of times when you get this northwestern shift, it is very free if you're on the mountainside. A lot of teams made their way over here preemptively though. So a lot more teams to deal with. Stalwart sends a player into scout versus the guys from GEEK fam. Might be a little bit of an issue for them, but quickly wrapped back round and went towards Camp Alpha. S2G also in this area. Stalwart get themselves in a very tricky situation now. One player down and one player completely on the opposite side of the coast.
Order rolls up right into the sideline at the top, and there's 2 players to hop out. Not really that much damage done by Top. A 1-2 punch coming around the side. Order gonna get flushed out. No, it's saved. Does lose the player in the process, but Top and Pinker both now have fallen for GODLIKE Stalwart, and Paraboy's up to the bridge. Maybe overcommittal on going for the flush there for Top. Likely to lose the life, but cuts Nova down to 3.
Scry really has to put in some mega work now. Action nowhere to be seen. Shots coming through, the tiniest little angle there. Fantastic stuff. Nova's got all these positions on lock at the moment.
And what a crossing to hold as well. You've still got iNCO behind you, which means that you can guard them out. And they're at the top of the tables. If you take them out of the mix early, certainly a runway opens up hopefully looking to try and land that plane if they can. Still have to push through the remnants of GODLIKE Stalwart. iNCO. They're clashing with Alpha 7, who are trying to swing in behind them as well. Becca as the backstop for one of the Brazilian teams, fighting off against the other. Shots from Nenebete up the top of the hill. Challenges out Mythic as well with Becca. Not going to play that knock, but does suppress the angle. Nenebete moving out, playing 2 and 2 now. They want to sweep the back before they make the aggressive move, the aggressive push forwards. They know they can't really do too much if they've got Alpha 7 hounding at their heels.
Yeah, a little bit caught between two very difficult teams at the moment. Alpha 7, though, pushed in by the blue, that is ticking quite hard even at this stage in the game. So, have to make a move with iNCO taking up high ground. Alpha 7's exit from this position will be very difficult. Actually doing calculus to try and figure out the best way to get into the circle now for themselves.
Now, using the ridgeline near the coast for Alpha 7 to actually skirt around it and actually finding themselves in that compound. Jimmy will be first to face from Nova. They have managed to get away from iNCO, and I don't think they have any idea that Jimmy's here as of yet. There are no vehicles, but he's got to have a challenge. 1 through the door, 2 to hit the floor. Will find the second knock, but Jimmy gets felled by Revo. Mafioso through to try and help his teammate out, but not going to be enough to save out the player on the inside. Luckily, they can go for these reses. Frozen, however, with a chance for Nova to change things around a little bit. The nade was cooking, and Mafioso falls, but just second knock as well as Revo gets 3 knocks. Now it's just Mythic, and Frozen wants to put 1 through. Cooking that perfectly would spell the end of Alpha 7, but he sends it through and picks up the 2 and the
Marco!
Where did that come from? Was that a self-nade? Did they put that in earlier? Oh, they've taken themselves out! Paraboy, no!
I can't believe what I've just seen. Nova tried to seal the deal. Paraboy's nade. They totally forgot about this one coming in. A nade by all stretches. Very, very well placed to explode late. Should Alpha 7 want to leave, but it was not communicated clearly. And forgotten about by Paraboy. What a horrible way to end it. After an incredible play from Frozen. They must be so furious with that.
You would expect so. We're on board now with iNCO though. 2 players remaining in their scrap with Fireflux. The crossing from the south side proving to be very troublesome for them. Fireflux nearby, ready and waiting to take any opportunity to slow iNCO down at the top of the table. Buriram, they tried to cross ahead, Nenebete takes the knee and now leaves just Vitali alive for the #1 Brazilian team. S2G, they've been on that northwestern island for a long, long time, and they're on the west side of the next circle as it comes through.
Still great positioning here for Alter Ego to take it all the way here in this match. Influence Kevin find themselves the very strong compound down towards that eastern side. You just feel so bad for Nova there. And even worse, the only thing that can defeat Nova is Nova, apparently. IHC found themselves a little bit of a handhold over on the east. T2K towards the north. A lot of teams just trying to get themselves any kind of advantage. 4AM still moving into the circle at the moment. Been out in that blue for a long, long time, so very much scratched and bruised. Sending across the bridge now, though. This could be the engagement with T2K that they were not looking for.
AM across the bridge at the north. Fairly low on the health bars, but should be able to pick that one back up. Allowed ingress. Actually, no one in this compound. So they'll have to move further south on the ship. Alter Ego, I feel like they've been fairly quiet so far in this game.
Haven't had to do too much. You don't really want to draw too much attention to yourself. Honestly, if you're on top of the mountain, you will just try and sweep the leg and get you to fall down off the cliffside there. They can move over towards the south now, though. Just move down towards GEEK fam. Flux, who took a position behind Nova, as that position was quite quickly cleared, honestly.
Southwest side heating up now. GEEK fam slowing down DRS, S2G as well. Close by. Buriram and Flux will be entrance into this engagement too. Wolves, a shot from the top of the mountain, and finally, Alter Ego are chiming into the fight. Picking up 2 eliminations now. Maybe looking to take over Vampire as Vampire do fall. T2K moving through the valley as Influence Chemin sits on the compound on the other side, in the foothills, in the shadow of the cliff, the mountain of this northwestern island. We'll be holding off against Jane on the push. Lil Boy looks to find a backline as Jane swings in for a challenge, but won't be able to find it, not just yet. Close up and personal now. Rick not in for the close range backup. Kayovsky has got that DBS to play around with, so it's going to be hard for Jane to launch through this window and successfully breach this building. Lil Boy moves into position by the door, but Jane allows Rick to move back up. Federal on the back will be able to spot these players moving forwards. Jane lobs a nade in through the window, but Rig has fallen, and a nade to burst right under their feet. Only the one now remains from the top rope, but will have to move south, and fairly soon as well. Spot 4 Angry Men might just go for the points here. Chick-Chan finds out all about it. A lovely little spray, a couple of taps more, and you get a point. You take that.
Orium had moved quicker and further downwards. They might have found that position. The IHC currently trying to hold. That's all the way on that eastern side, but they're going to go deep towards the circle. WWX has already fallen, so only 2 players left now for 4 AM. Alter Ego, though, with a real chance in this game to put up some big points.
Next circle does move away from them, though. It shifts to the east side here. Influence Chemin with a compound on the north can take shots at anyone who moves forwards. Alter Ego, if they can maintain that high ground, however. As you said, so much control.
Shifts in an awkward spot for them. Orium smokes out position. Alter Ego might have liked to have picked up, so there's going to be difficulty in the way. There's that replay. Obviously frozen with some incredible shots. And yeah, there was the nade. Through the window, through the door. It's all over. Must hurt to watch it all over again.
And again. And again.
They're happy about it.
They're in good spirits. They still managed to get 6 eliminations on the game, so it's not the end of the world, but S2G is still in the fight. In the second place there, they have, however, just lost Hamzy. Far from ideal, 3 players alive for them. Solkate low for Fireflux. Spray from My Name P gets the knock, and Fireflux are diminished somewhat, but I'm sure their spirits are far from dampened here. Solkate Reservoir, unless the GEEK fam has something to say about it.
GEEK fam been a bit of a tear today, doing much better than yesterday, I would say. U-High really leading the charge for them. DRS, only 1 player remaining. Bit of a fall off of performance from yesterday. Fireflux also. Some more points here. 13th place, not ideal. 5 eliminations on the game. Could be good for them. 3 teams, at 4. GEEK fam, Influence Chemin, and Alter Ego. Looking for a big game this time around. Make the home country proud.
Silas nails the shots through the door, and GEEK fam eliminated. Unfortunately, though, Alter Ego still have the high ground and leave S2G with 1 player remaining. 6 eliminations, just Kelsey to move forwards. 4 eliminations from the high ground position, and they've moved 2 down as well. The west side of this circle, it feels fairly controlled now. Influence Chemin and 4 Angry Men are going to have to fight it out for the east.
2 players, 4 Angry Men. Tall task in front of them. Get further into this game. Don't like this from Potato, though. He's sticking close towards the engagement, providing information back across. Looks like he's going to move up towards that loot crate. Influence Chemin coming in now. Law. Try and take down these players. Remove the vehicles. Take out the wheels. But it's 4v2 here.
4 Angry Men eliminated with that. 6 teams remain. Influence Chemin. Looking to move past Potato here. Look at the off angle from Fnatic. It needs to be pivotal to control this Influence Chemin push. One bit as well, in an ideal location to slow things down.
Still a lot that could go wrong here, honestly. A lot of teams still in the mix. IHC, Flux, S2G with Kelsey. But right now, Pubg putting in the work. Survival is in his name, but sometimes that requires you to lash out and do exactly what you need to keep going. So far, he's putting the damage over towards Influence Chemin. They're suffering right on the edge, and soon enough, the blue to become their real enemy.
Potato will have to shimmy just a little bit further forwards. I was checking out the utility available for him. No nades, so can't just underarm bobble a nade downhill towards Influence Chemin. Lux from Flux spotted by Kelsey. Influence Chemin making a breakout wide and trying to move down the hill instead of going on the cliff side. But Potato is there, ready and waiting. The Guardian from up on high, and Potato finds the second knock as well. Law made the cross, I say unharmed, but now they can start to res up in that location.
Potato, first aid kit. Invested here, but Influence Chemin, it's time that's not on their side. The blue starting to push them in. Potato still doing work. That's another one down. Brazilian team taking huge casualties from Indonesia.
5 eliminations on the card for Influence Chemin. Same story for Flux and Alter Ego, but they're trying to rack up a couple more. Potato has to jump.
Oh, okay.
With the crucial duel there, but Kowski has the opportunity now. Cuts his legs out. Does get taken down in the process. Kelsey eliminated by Fnatic on the off angle in the meantime. And now Alter Ego can take care of business. They move down the hill, and Pubg puts the final nail in the coffin against Influence Chemin. It's only solos left. IHC looking to challenge, maybe with 2. Catch behind the rock, and there's a knock coming on in. It's Demo to fall to boot, and now it's anyone's game.
Pubg, an absolute master right now, has put in so much work, even on Miramar, now looks to take them all the way. 6 grenades still remaining, looks to toss one over the top. In the meantime, his buddies are getting picked up. Fnatic just relaying that information across. This is an all but done deal.
Potato back into the mix. 3 players active, and Ket Skrill full masted is Pubg with the final elimination. And in Jakarta, they find the chicken dinner. The home team, Alter Ego,
take off the headsets. It's done now, a huge game as well. So many eliminations with the chicken dinner as well. That's going to sit them high and proud there and lift them out from the bottom of the lobby. A really, really well done game. It didn't end on the mountain either. That required finesse to finish that one out. They did need to make some pretty quick adjustments. The fact that Potato stayed all by himself for a long, long time on the north-east side, still was able to deal with the majority of Influence Chemin by himself. Happy days, look at that, the peace signs are up. This was a fantastic match coming through from Alter Ego.
Potato with the MVP for the team. He sat on top of the mountain, on top of Influence Chemin. They controlled S2G from their western flank as well. These are not easy teams to handle.
Not at all. I think that you often see top side of the mountain when you get a northwest finish, it's like it's a done deal. It's really not. It's really never a done deal in that case. And look, man, you've got to rep the Alter Ego fam, because look, that last game, absolutely phenomenal from them. It's not an easy finish. A lot of times you get wrapped up from behind. You can get players take you out from the top side. If you don't move quick enough as well, you can catch yourself caught on that top side of the mountain. Alter Ego, they set a masterclass of how to play that mountain themselves and really spread their attention and spread it in such a way that they're still able to deal with all these teams influencing from that high ground.
They didn't really need to have that full hands-on approach until that mid-game struck. And that is where they did really start to leverage their position.
Absolutely.
And I think it was, as you said before, incredibly well executed.
The crowd absolutely wild towards the end of that game, and you can tell why. It was such a clean finish coming through from Alter Ego. Very, very well done. That's the type of thing you want to see. I think for Alter Ego, you can be happy with just that, even if the tournament ended now. An excellent way to set yourself on the stage of Pmgc the biggest tournament in the world here for PUBG Mobile. And a dominant win like that, 4 players still up, and a 10+ elimination game. Goodness me.
A couple of other teams as well having some pretty solid entries there. Influence Chemin, they did stay up fairly late. They got a pretty decent elimination count as well. Flux deep into that game. So the top of those tables still very much in the lurch there, with a couple of the top teams going down early on. But it is, as you said, such a treat for Alter Ego to win in their home ground.
Absolutely. I think that when you look at some of this, though, it has kind of switched up the top of the leaderboards just a little bit, with some teams doing quite well, some teams at the top really not doing well at all. I was surprised that Nova was still so pleased with that result. I think that's what makes a good team. You got to have fun with it, right? You have to have fun at the end of the day. If there's no pressure to begin with, you can just play your hearts out the entire time. I mean, it's crazy. I love to see it.
They still managed to get 6 eliminations, right, on that game. So, sure, they shouldn't have gone down there. Quite frankly, they should have been able to go a little bit further. But you also have to think,
much further actually,
from the position they were in, they still had to cross the river. They still had to get across. There's going to be so many teams looking out your way. So you're probably losing out maybe 1 or 2 points.
Absolutely. I think that you look at this for Nova, again, I still see it as a win. If you can have absolutely no pressure on yourself during the Pmgc, it becomes so easy to bounce back from something like that, which is beautiful. We're going to bounce back very, very shortly, but in the meantime, we're going to throw this one over back to the desk. Welcome back to the next absolutely absurd scenes from no one being able to take out Nova but themselves to AE finally getting that well-deserved chicken dinner that we were searching for so long. 26 points.
I think I've never heard this much hype for match ranking 7. I don't think it's for the graphic, I think it's for one team. Alter Ego Limax getting himself the heavily awaited chicken dinner right there. And we said it.
Yes.
Slave to almost perfection on this Sanhok battleground.
The way it was done, we were talking about it earlier on during the Miramar. We were seeing how they needed to readjust a little bit in regards to the pretty much the awareness that they had, and also how they were playing in the macros. They did that so well here. I mean, at one point I was like, oh man, I don't like what Potato was doing. I was absolutely wrong. I'll be the first person to tell you I was absolutely wrong, because that man set that squad up to actually get the win. Some of the other stuff, though, Flux, this was a team that I wanted to see how they were going to be doing. 19 points for them. Influence Chemin as well. 11 points. A good bounce back for this team that definitely needed points. And if we actually go towards the bottom, this is going to make it even more interesting, because Ego Gaming and IHC Esports are towards the bottom.
We're having a little bit of a complete reverse of what we had in the first day. This is towards the bottom right now. It's not fun, but hey.
Wow.
Some nice changes up here.
Look how far down IHC has now dropped. Currently in 5th place with 80 points. iNCO Gaming still maintaining, currently tied with S2G. Tied for 1st place in Influence Chemin. I mean, this is what I was saying. They needed to have a good performance to be able to kind of slow down that push from Nova that they've been doing the whole day. Great stuff.
Exactly, great stuff coming out from them. GEEK fans still know just on the cusp, but they can be dropping out potentially off this top page very, very soon. They have to be a little bit careful, but it's also, I think that was what, 13 points from DRS, so hey, Nepal, slowly but surely showing up, currently in 6th and 7th place respectively for the whole region of Nepal. And I'm hyped to see on the 2nd page. What was the step up? They're up in 13th position from 16th, and this is the redemption of the mighty beginning right here, 7. They look so far down below. This game puts them back in the race.
It really is. I mean, for teams that we're talking about that we wanted to see changes, Alter Ego's truly doing perfectly that. Flux, for them to be able to jump up to 9th place and be tied as well with 4 Endmen, this is great stuff.
Let's head over to look at the next matches. What is coming up? Match number 10 in just a couple of minutes, which is going to be Erangel together. We've had all sorts of theories about who's going to take Erangel matches for today. The first one obviously has already been decided, which is iNCO. But going back to the overall rankings really quickly, I want to touch on, because you were saying something really interesting. Is that just the beginning for AE? Or is that maybe the beginning of the end in terms of staying in that second phase of the overall
I
rankings?
don't think so. Like this is hopefully going to be something that's a wake-up call, right? I mean, we said it. That was a gameplay to almost perfection. We had a lot of criticisms for them yesterday's matches, for the first 2 games before this previous one of this second day of play. If this is the new normal, I'm telling you, the redemption arc might be happening for Alter Ego here, over here in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Not only just their positioning that I love in that Sanhok, I love the aggressiveness.
Yes.
I love that they were willing to just try to look for those extra points in regards to eliminations. And I'm hoping that that actually continues, saying that it's going to slow down. I don't think they're going to slow down. I'm hoping, as you were saying, carry this momentum, continue doing what you're doing, because right now everything's looking great for them. And with the crowd so hyped up, they better continue to do that, because I'm going to be getting myself a scarf if they continue to do this.
It is absolutely crazy. Honestly, the crowd was shaking. Let me tell you that one. The crowd was absolutely shaking. We can feel it up here. The energy is just out of the charts. Let's take a look at the teams to watch from both of you really quickly. Start with you, Max, with S2G, Alter Ego, and IHC. Let me touch on IHC really quick, because I thought they were really interesting the last game. They were really quiet on that eastern side, but they still racked up quite some points. Is that something you expect them to
I mean, that's the thing that you said, right? The word quiet, and I do not want to see them be too quiet. And this is like kind of my, I want to see them present. And right now, they've not been really there too heavily throughout today's matches. Only that big pop-up in yesterday's last match, thanks to Seoul in particular. So I just wanted to see them a little bit more present. They've not been there so far, but we know that the region of Mongolia can be so strong, but so far not looking. It's super surprising in these 2 days of play.
What about you, Seven? I see some Alter Ego as well, an Alter Ego pick, but also an A7 pick.
Yes.
They are really quiet, and it kind of hurts my heart to, have seen these last matches in terms of, A7 at least, because they've just not shown up at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's now 5 games straight for them that they just have not been able to show up. We just haven't really been able to see anything out of them. And the overall leaderboard is reflected, and I'm pretty sure at some point they're going to have to wake up. I was hoping it was going to be Sanhok. That's kind of why when I was talking about it, when we were talking about it was Chemin, who I thought was going to win. I picked Alpha 7. It didn't end up happening. I mean, no one did end up destroying them, but that's neither here nor there. And then Alter Ego with what we were just saying, how this team is currently being able to get that win. Hopefully they're going to be able to continue that momentum, continue on the great changes that they've been doing, continue in the macro, and continue to just take advantage of the aggressiveness. If they do put themselves in a great situation like they did there in Sanhok in this next Erangel, I'm hoping they continue to do that too. And then I have IHC Esports because I remember you told me something earlier, Maxman.
Yeah, I had a little chat with Pubg over there. We got some food and we're like, oh, wait a minute, let's have a little quick chat. And he said, for the first time, Vampire, after this previous match, starting right now, in this next game coming up very soon, they're going to be making changes. Vampire, he didn't tell me what. Like, no spoiler, okay? I'm not going to spoil you the second season of Pmgc, don't worry about that one. But there are going to be some iterations brought to the table for this team that we needed. It's a little bit late, but just hit the 50% mark of these finals. Yep. They can still make massive adaptations in the rankings.
We did. Ninth match has been played, and changes come to Vampire. That does sound good, because we really do need them to perform. And we never fan out there. We have a lot of them here as well. He's rooting for them to finally change something. Let's hope it changes for the better. Interesting topic as well in terms of our ranking. 3 out of the top 4 teams went out first in their last match. And sure, it is Sanhok. Sometimes that can be a little bit unpredictable. But we've seen, except for example, the losing streak kind of continues. Is it something you guys are worried about in terms of being on top?
With Alpha 7, I mean, it's always been a worry. I mean, going back to, what was it, Americas, and then going back even more to PMWI, Alpha 7 tends to perform really, really well one day, and then the other just fall off. I was expecting the fall off, and yes, I'll put this on the record. I was expecting the fall off to happen on day 3. I was not expecting it to happen here on day 2. So in a way, I'm hoping it's kind of like reverse psychology. They're trying to hype themselves up. You know what? We're actually going to throw on day 2, and then on day 3, we're going to bring it. Overall, though, these teams are going to have to be able to readjust. This is what makes champions champions. This is what we were talking about with Nova earlier, how they were able to readjust on day number 2, and they've been able to continue to play so well that Paraboy ended up naming 2 of his teammates.
You gotta bring that out. You gotta do the guy. At least I'm really happy, despite him mating himself with Frozen. They were laughing. Like, they were having a good old time. They were like, your merit's gonna go down. At least they'll get your account back. Okay, this is not the right time to do it. He's definitely having some fun time over there. But I do really like the fact that even the top teams of yesterday, it's not a good thing that they're struggling. But the fact is that even if you're at the top, this lobby is so tough that even teams that were at the bottom, like we saw with Alter Ego in this previous game, even teams that are in the middle of the pack, they're going to get those big pop-up performances. Even if you're at the top, you are never going to be safe until that very, very last game.
And with that said, I mean, let me just say something in regards to that. If Alpha 7, if they can pull off a win and back it up with a nice amount of eliminations, they're going to be back in the mix. Their confidence is going to be up. And then we're going to be seeing that Alpha 7 that we saw yesterday at the beginning of the 3 matches. Talk about teams coming back and maybe, grabbing onto that connection towards this first page of the overall ranking. Flux has just performed really, really well. They were partly also a little bit quiet on the southern side, but when they actually got out of that warehouse and were able to push out, then they actually started coming back into this game, and that was the Flux that we knew, popping off shots. Flux, I think one of you had that in that prediction as well, if I'm not mistaken. You did. What's your hopes for them? My hopes for them is for them to continuing to just move up that leaderboard. We saw them yesterday. They ended up getting a win. And then after that, there was nothing. It was a bunch of crickets. I don't want that. I don't want it to be like this right now after that Sanhok, after that performance.
Crickets?
Yeah.
Fair enough, okay, I'm not going to go. It's a saying. It's a saying.
Bon, moi-même, je ne pourrais pas te l'envoyer. Parce que j'ai passé le numéro sur ce téléphone là. Mais je vais te donner les minutes, je te jure. Parce que quand tu avances avec lui, on te tirait dessus en même temps et tout, je sais que putain, qu'est-ce qu'il fait au français comme ça. Eh, c'est top, je vais te trouver ça.
Just more fun, all the time. Well, this week is going to be a lot of fun. Too much fun. It right now is a lot of fun. Maybe. I don't think so. Maybe just enough fun. This is the right amount of fun. But that could also, okay, whatever. We won't get into the semantics of how
Miramar now looks to take the lead away. 6 grenades still remaining. Looks to toss one over the top. In the meantime, his buddies are getting kicked up, and that's it. Just relaying that information across. It's all for done deal. The T2 to the next 3 players active. Kestrel for last in Puppet with the final elimination.
A wonderful win as well. Really well executed from Alter Ego. I see a similar kind of performance out in this next game. We're playing it tactically. Really having each other's backs, some pop-up performance overall from each player, which is really nice to see, honestly. And something we weren't able to see a fair few times over the past day and a half, let's say. I think just looking at Pompit in general, though, this guy has really stood up for the team massively, really doing a lot of good work. Bit of an odd playing pass to start off our angle, as we head into it right now for match number 4 of day 2, from shooting range down towards Primos. Vampire Esports getting out the plane very late here. A west side plane isolates places like Milta, like the Pubg. Be a little bit harder to get to. Novo potentially pretty tricky to achieve there, but you can drop towards Osnovka military base. We haven't seen too many teams really target that as a main drop, so there might be a little bit of an opening there, but there's certainly going to be a couple who are going for it as a backup drop location. Severny close to the starting point there. T2K will be out and over it very, very quickly. iNCO breaking out wide, a little bit further west for them. They'll head towards Kameshki and Stalwart. Probably swing down towards Yasnaya in the next couple of minutes. We're in a big game here now for Alpha 7. Get things back on track. I think for them, this will be a good time to bring things back into the ball on match 4. See, only 2 more matches after this one before we head into that final run towards that grand finals itself. See exactly who will take the prize home, and now it's no longer a case of Nova not being in the picture. Moving anyone towards the top, but now Nova is really chasing after this one. That's a hard northern circle they're playing though. It's going to go all the way up north. Slap bang on top of T2K in Severny. This engagement in North Georgia, by I say engagement, this drop in North George, 4 angry men. All 4 of them are in North George. Alpha 7 have sent 2 towards North George, with Mythic all the way to the northeast side and Compound closer towards shooting range. Actually, Carrillo sending out almost towards Zaki. Bit of a change of pace here for Alpha 7. I like this as well. It's a good adjustment.
considering we saw 4 AM get ahead of them, and they were a bit worried to move off to that eastern side. Instead, now they have Carrillo towards Zaki, Alpha 7 Mythic over towards shooting range, looting that area. This is going to give them a lot of great anchor points now going forward. They can move over towards. 4 AM might not be able to get the drop on them, getting ahead much quicker. Still, 4 AM and Alpha 7 they see is probably the best opportunity for them to get a very nice and central spot. Rozok's still open to teams like Alter Ego. Influence Kevin against Naya, can quickly get across the bridge as well. And iNCO opts to head up towards STALWART. In fact, as soon as they saw that circle pop, they stopped moving down towards Naya, picked up some of the more likely vehicles in that area towards STALWART and started looting. So, smart move from them. This will give them a chance here. It's been a fair few times in the last couple of games that they have been outside of the circle with no real hope to actually push through the masses of teams that were ahead of them.
GEEK fam playing on the mouth of the Western Bridge. 50 seconds before phase 1 circle closes. GODLIKE STALWART, they dropped long and late towards Novo and military base. They wouldn't have had the most time in the world to get this loot on board. See level 1 helmet invest there, full top. Wolves making their rotation as well. That's right up the centre, north from Pmgc. Moving up to the church now, a launching point towards the ruins, potentially up towards Rozok.
Pmgc always a great springboard for a lot of these teams in terms of being able to rotate fairly easily from that spot. Buriram really not had breakout performance as of yet. Alter Ego, in fact, passing them now with 57 points in 13th place. A really good position to actually start catching up a lot of these other teams towards 7. Really good standout here for Indonesia. For a team that looked almost out of the picture on day 1.
They were in the teens of points at the start of the day. So they have done well to kick it up a gear with that previous game, but it is a question of maintaining that, as we have questioned time and time again from iNCO. At the top of the tables, obviously now being tied on 93 with iNCO and S2G. The tiebreaker, of course, meaning iNCO wins out with the chicken dinner count they've had. S2G falling behind on that metric, but it's still very, very close. And then third and fourth is also tied between the Influence Chemin squad and Nova, 82 apiece with Alpha 7 right at the door with 80.
Again, though, starting the day at 78 points, John. Only 2 points found so far for Alpha 7 over 3 matches. That buffer definitely slipped away. No longer that safety net beneath them. Time to start getting the boots dug into the ground. Get something done here, because it's really starting to slip away from a little bit. Nova ahead of the 82, tied with Influence Chemin, 82 points apiece. Influence Chemin drawing ahead now of Alpha 7. It's kind of what I expected as well. The team was a favourite of mine, honestly. Coming from America, they just look leagues ahead of most Western teams, in fact. I include HVP as well as Mad Bulls. Before they had their drop-offs in performance over in the group stage. But yeah, I think Influence Chemin definitely a favourite Brazil team for me. iNCO, a strange strategy that seems to work out. And you respect them for it. Just think that Influence Chemin are the kind of team that just keeps on trucking.
Just always there, always in the conversation. Coming into Pmgc, we were worried about S2G, Black. We were worried that this was a team that had dropped off a little bit, qualified through Pmgc points, remember, to the group stages, and didn't manage to get one of those top spots in the European regional, which would have seen them in had they not been up the top for the Pmgc points from Turkey, from the PMPL points, sorry, from Turkey. So people were worried about their group stage, but they came in swinging, they absolutely blasted out. Now here they are in Jakarta in the finals, tied for the top spot. This is a team that I don't think too many are going to be worried about from here on out.
Yeah, some seriously clutch players on the side of S2G. Saw that throughout the group stage as well. Was seriously potent moments from them. I think there's a player on that team that I kind of discount, honestly. I think every single player has their own role to play. Every single one of those players can become the fragger if necessary, which is really good.
in any team. To have that to fall back on in those dangerous moments that anyone can perform at any given time. T2K looking at some more points on the board, currently in 7th place, not doing too badly for themselves. What ties at the moment though? 63 and 63 between Flux and Buriram.
Allô, c'est Mboka.
67 between T2K and GEEK.
Ouais, salut quoi, mon ref.
Again, this is just one of those lobbies where we have a
Tu seras au stade aujourd'hui.
A point starting to break away a little bit now towards that top side.
Ok, là t'es déjà sorti de chez toi ou bien t'es encore chez toi? Bon, tu vas passer par chez toi pour venir ou bien? Ok, donc tu pourras apporter les crampons parce que là je vais sûrement les prendre maintenant. Mais moi j'ai besoin des crampons. Comme je vais passer au stade, je vais jouer. J'aurai besoin des crampons. Ouais, je sais que j'ai pas travaillé aujourd'hui. J'ai pas travaillé aujourd'hui, donc je vais jouer aujourd'hui. Ouais, donc on s'entend à combien? 20 balles ou bien? 20 balles ou bien? Vanilla, c'est du vintage que je te fais à proximité. Tu vois, d'accord. Non, frère, 20 balles, comme autant tu dis que 20 balles c'est rien là, autant 20 balles c'est beaucoup pour moi, hein, c'est chaud, frère.
It is very, very difficult to make those crashes unless you can capitalize your third party on the engagement. Unlikely you'll get away with it unscathed. Over. Here to S2G, two heavy hitters in the lobby. Frozen takes a lot of damage early. Order cannot find the lineup. Order moves off down and a sliver of HP gets the flush as well. Frozen and Order in still, but in comes Silas and Hamsey for backup. They swipe each other away. Oh no, he's run himself over with the vehicle. And Hamsey's only HP as well. Looks for the flash off the Paraboy and potentially even needs to go for this rest.
Le truc c'est, voilà. Moi c'est, bon là c'est mon budget que j'ai, c'est serré, donc on le fera une autre fois.
Momentum base, you can hit and get out quite safely. Fortunately for S2G, a little bit too soon. Everything came crumbling down around them because in reality, things that was a good play from S2G. A very quick response.
But down they go. And Alpha 7, I mean, we just spoke about it, right? Unless you could third party, it's going to be difficult to roll up unscathed. That's exactly what Alpha 7 are managed to do here. IHC is going to be peppering them from the back now as well. Two players underground, Order and Frozen for Nova to stay alive near the shooting range. IHC looking to move through.
Bon, donc on verra ça une autre fois. On verra ça une autre fois parce que là, moi, c'est serré chez nous.
Absolutely required.
Hein?
Here as well, John, to get them back to
Si, je vais jouer.
maybe they can hold on. 3 players, 3 eliminations though.
Je vais me débrouiller avec
Now
ceux
have
que
to
je
deal
vois.
with IHC. That's one knock going their way, so Hats holding on. Nova just 2 players hiding in the bunker here.
L'augmenter là, c'est jusqu'à combien?
It's an okay start with elimination, but they're going to go a
Et
little
il fallait augmenter là jusqu'à combien?
Now Alpha 7 has got them in pitched warfare. Unlikely they're getting out from underneath this bunker. They are locked in.
Ok, bon, je vais réfléchir. Laisse encore le temps de réfléchir tranquille.
Try to bank it off the wall. Take a little bit of damage. Doesn't throw any more with smoke there. Steps back up towards it. And again.
Non, t'inquiète, t'inquiète. Laisse-moi réfléchir au propre, puis... Laisse-moi réfléchir au propre, puis je te reviens.
With 3 players, it's likely that you do lose this. With 4, you might want the chance of it, but even then it's super risky.
100%. 4 players might have been nice. Not enough with that. Getting the refresh.
Je vais voir d'ici 30 minutes.
With the 3 and the capability of the guys coming through.
Ok,
so unlikely. Great shots coming in from UI. This guy is an adaptive player. A freak when it comes to speed. His reactions, so good.
Spins GODLIKE Stalwart out on the buggy, picks up the flush. Couple more players still to go, and A northward shift again for the players on that south side. Keeps Severny in it, iNCO on the south point of it. As Wolves taking on 4 Angry Men, going back and forth. This is on the east side of Severny in the hills, right on the crash, and 4 Angry Men sweep them aside. You're talking about consistently and staying in that conversation when you were referring to Influence Chemin. They're always there. I feel like 4 Angry Men, they have a similar reputation, but they just haven't stood up as much.
Some unfortunate games for 4am. Not quite able to get as far as they'd like, and I think some of that has been due to circles today. Uh-oh. GEEK Fam moving through. Alter Ego, though, find themselves positioned to maybe hold out the guys from GEEK Fam. Who are sent away now. iNCO was able to move down from STALWART. Good decision at the start of the game to play up there. With the time they had, swinging across in the parachutes, it's just a perfect choice for them. They've moved into a very central spot, to be honest. Should assist in the rest of the game.
A lot of points being taken away. I say points, sorry, players being taken away from the teams in the top 5. Only iNCO remains at full force. We've seen what they can do if they're left alone for a long time in these circles. Flux nade over towards IHC, that is inside Severny, the northern end of it. So with the buildings as cover, that might be a little bit of an opportunity. They're going to have to keep pouring them on through. IHC have lost 2 now, so Flux looking to control North Severny.
Good position to hold, actually. Fireflux get held down versus IHC. Unfortunately, taking a knock there onto Soulless. Fireflux currently in 10th place, losing that lead to 4am. Fortunately, 4am is now down to just 2 players, right in dead centre of Severny.
Alpha 7 pushing in from that western side as well, forcing IHC to make decisions. STALWART down for Fireflux. A nade from Alpha 7 over on the demo. It's forward position. Godless does get res by Ziol. Nades can continue to be thrown out, but Mythic wants to capitalise on the position. Will push into the building, wants the challenge. Fades away just a little bit, spotted on the cross. Can he get back behind the wall? Yes, he can. Ziol not able to curtail that rotation. Demo still not res. Alex will start to stick it now with the smoke starting to bloom. As Revo puts a Molotov in to stop any pushes coming on through. Ziol cooking the nade, wanting to launch it over towards Alpha 7. In the meantime, Fireflux back up to fighting form. GEEK Fam on the eastern side have managed to find a little bit of compound to play with. Further south, it's the warehouse for Buriram.
Finally find their way into the circle now. Buriram really been struggling over these past matches. Find themselves in position again. Everyone here in the Pmgc, there's not a single team that is on horrible points. Moves up though. GEEK Fam sends Alter Ego back. That's 2 down already.
And a flush as well. 1 more potato to go. And will be found. Snipes his leg into them with a DRS. 1 player now standing in 8 rounds. 8 cartridges still to chunk on out. 1 player for Alter Ego. And he'll start to step up now. Rex will go for 1. Damn rude. Goes low as well. The spray around the side with the DRS. Oh, it's just too much. The UMP to find the final points of damage. But GEEK Fam are getting rolled up on. It's Buriram with Kenzo. And GODLIKE STALWART have a DRS of their own. Able to dispatch the players in green. And Scry stays alive. Pika knocked but reservoir.
Such an effective weapon from the guys from GEEK Fam. Snipes really putting the work with DBS. Beautiful stuff. 1-2 punch the entire time. He was extremely accurate with it. Waited for his moment marvellously, but now STALWART on a piece of the action. Molotov doesn't go through the window. Won't give them that space that maybe they wanted, but the nades, again, one dropped off the side, but it might be enough if it pops right now.
Top row, beautiful stuff. In comes the push as well. Snipes now in a 1 versus 1. He hopped out the window to take the teammate down. 5 cartridges. DBS versus DBS. GODLIKE STALWART around the door frame. He pushes through and Scry to close down the fight. Finally, 4 teams have rolled up into these buildings and only 1 player has survived it. It's Scry from GODLIKE STALWART.
Cacophony of DBS as well, just resounding through that compound. I almost felt like Snipes was going to take it all the way home. And so successful with that DBS in the first place. What a truly marvellous moment. He was able to finish that one out. But now only Scry left, and realistically, it was GEEK fam to make everyone pay much more dearly for that position than they had hoped. Scry now has DRS to deal with. An 8 in, that looks pretty perfect. And Delta shows us just how it's done for DRS. The team from Nepal, they started off with the first chicken dinner of the tournament back in match 1, but since then they've been fairly middling. However, they are still in 6th place and very much still a part of the conversation now on that east side. Really one of the very few teams with power outside of Severny right now. iNCO, they've been hunkered down on the south of Severny and allowing these 3 teams to their north to just fight it on out, to duke back and forth. Buriram, still with 3 players, moves towards that northern side. 4 AM, still with a strong spot in the twins there. Obviously only 2 players, but they get further along right now with the 4 limbs they have and get a high placement. The amount of players remaining, the amount of teams, it is quite likely we'll see a lot of them fall soon, especially with how clumped up they are over on that western edge. iNCO may want to leave or take some good shots over towards anyone that's moving out from that northern side via Flux A7. IHC, Nova also still in the mix with 2 players. T2K from the south will need to push up north. Vampire will be in their way if they try to move a little bit further east of that. Buriram will shoot down, as well as 4 angry men, but iNCO will hold that south point fairly firmly. 4 nades in hand for iNCO over there. I think they might have spotted that Alpha 7 got a little bit close. Nova trying to skirt around on the south side. Spotted by Vitali. Lights up Frozen, gets the flash. Order up to the wall. They know he's there. And Order is not going to be able to make it any further. Nova down, eliminated. 11th place, 1 elimination. That's going to drop them beneath Alpha 7. And now it's the Brazilian teams with a chance to realign for the top 3 on the tables. Very good chance as well. Influence coming up towards that northern side. iNCO tucked away on the west. For Alpha 7, this really is an important game for them. 4 eliminations, down to 1 player now. Not really a hope to get their fellow teammate back up again. T2K as well, taking heavy casualties on this side. 3 players left. Active and Reservoir behind the rock. They are in this next zone, so as long as Vampire don't take them down, Buriram is their main threat here from behind. And of course, Buriram will need to be pushing on in to this next circle. The smoke's all starting to fade now. That smoke line really shunted out of control. And Vampire on a solid ridge line here on the east of Severny. Potential here to put in a shift. Yeah, they could get a huge amount of eliminations over towards that western side. Killer. Very dangerous to that one. Swims over the top of some of those players over towards the north and influence Chemin. Certainly a terrifying weapon to come up against. Revo still going. Can't count out Revo either from Alpha 7. This guy is an absolute beast when it comes to solo clutches. Put around 2 players behind T2K still in the queue to get into the next circle. 2 players on the forward, sorry, they have got their backstopping Tiger out to the east, and he's taking shots over towards Rig to get the flush. Knocks over towards Vampire, or certainly damage if not knocked just yet. That's going to suppress that position nicely. Vitali for iNCO has been knocked in the meantime, but Becca can reposition, wend his way through the streets of Severny to keep them going. Currently iNCO sat at the top of the tables, tied with S2G at this stage. 2 eliminations apiece, puts them at 95. Anything more is gravy for iNCO to open up that lead. Alpha 7, you talked about Revo not being able to count him out. See how much further he can go. He's currently 11 points behind that 2nd place position on S2G. He's getting towards the top placement, probably high priority for him right now, but again, he has some time to play around with Severny still being just about in. T2K, Buriram all moving up towards Vampire Esports position. You can see cool. It is so horrifically tough for Buriram. Vampire Esports roasted him there. 2 eliminations, 2 eliminations. 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 2 eliminations.
Influence Chemin on the north side. DRS moved 2 up to them, so maybe even got them out. Nades from Rules and from Delta starting to pour over towards the beach side. Influence Chemin have to make that crossing sooner rather than later. Law wanting to move up and get away from the rest of the team. They don't want to all go down here. Killer as well, with an excellent sightline to control this crossing. However, DRS have to move themselves. Are they going to invest all this time just to take down Influence Chemin?
They can take down Influence Chemin means they can control the northern side of the map. I think that's what ideally they're looking for, but I would be very much doubting that Influence Chemin is going to let this one go easily. The DRS currently have the roadside. It's a very smart rotate from them to hold out the boys here. But Nay's coming through liberally. The guys from Influence Chemin. One goes down already. Giante immediately has to move in for the assist. In the meantime, Federal gets up towards the roadside. What a play from him.
Delta
a very
close.
limited amount of time as well to make that happen.
Giante with 2 players to deal with now. Delta has to push around the side of the smoke and Law not able to deal with it. Kayovsky lit up from the back. And Influence Chemin torn apart there. DRS now have that control on the northern side flank.
So important for them. DRS, really tough fight there for them, especially with the initial knock coming through. And Federal playing that one marvellously. Again, it's that 4v3, it's the man advantage that comes through to bear. The DRS now hold a very strong spot inside the circle with 4 players alive as well. It'll be tough to dismount them. 4EM though surprisingly still going with just their 2 players.
DRS smokes out. Roll forwards, Delta. Giante leading. Trying to snake back together there. 4 AM. Their remaining players, 2 of them to the south. Gutsiao and Ting Chen. Wanting to hold out the eastern side. T2K have been surviving to their credit under the supervision of Vampire. But they are right on the edge of this next circle. They still have Tiger to worry about for Buriram. iNCO on the inside has just been chilling for so long in Saverni.
They haven't had to move. I think something that iNCO is very good at is taking their time.
Okay.
It's picking their moment, man. They've got to pick their moment. Again, I'll say it one more time, it's that nitro boost. And it is very important that you don't hit that nitro boost too soon. You don't want to be rolling over the finish line. You want to be absolutely blasting past it.
I mean, they won't have to move even in this next circle either if they don't want to. They might want to take a little bit more position, but Solus is going to be wanting for a little bit more than that. He's got plenty in catch. 2 players now for IHC looking to push on through. Alex flushed out. Godless dispatched by Lux on the sidelines. A nice little third party, and it's just Demo. Ziol's too low to be a part in this fight, but Demo handles business on the inside of the camp and drops from the top rope. The heal was good, and Ziol keeps Godless alive.
Fireflux is not able to put up any kind of fight there versus IHC as they swarm up on their position. T2K ripping apart Vampire Esports. They've remained on the south side for a long time and quite quietly too.
Brilliant nades coming through to dispatch a lion's share of the Vampire position. 3 players down and Ravenclaw cowed under pressure. Tiger has taken this opportunity for Buriram to move on up and actually take a backstab attempt, but unfortunately the crossing is not going to go well, and 7th place, 2 eliminations is not going to be enough to lift you off the bottom of the tables in a position that was potentially very strong. Vampire have it all come crumbling down. Now, Buriram losing their last as well, brings us to 5 teams remaining.
Vampire used to playing edge, don't expect anyone to be at their back, and don't prioritise that position as a threat. Unfortunately for them, it's where they do get taken down from.
T2K, 1 player lit up, 1 in the shack. Jane stays alive for now. It is in the next circle. iNCO can still just play in these buildings, however, and with that sightline, with that hard cover, they can provide such a difficult time to everybody else in this lobby.
iNCO have just waited this one out. The opportune moment. Now they're ready to go. DRS doing some serious damage over towards 4 AM. Again, absolute miracle that they've even got this far, to be honest. With that, Vitali takes some long shots over that way. 5 eliminations so far for iNCO. This is where they're going to start to blast out, and they knew this compound would be extremely powerful if it remained in for a while. See where the circle goes. Will it still hold them in?
Once they've dispatched IHC, they have a ridge line in front of them to move in towards, but it's broadside to DRS. DRS really the main threat now against this INCO position. They don't even have to cross the road. They still have the walls to play with, like.
Exactly. That is the most difficult scenario. INCO's once again identified the most base position here on the map, honestly. As long as they could remain in it, they knew that the rest of the game would be fairly simple. Sporium out, 6 eliminations, still a 5th place with that. Going down to 2 early on is not a bad result whatsoever.
Any double-digit game is good news. That's exactly what they're able to find here. IHC moving on in, but Vitaly spots Godless on the broadside. Ziol as well, trying to move through the smoke, but DRS delivering on the promise of their position. Both of the players from IHC eliminated. 7 eliminations, 4th place. All of those points going over towards DRS. T2K surviving. Jane in the shack. Not in the next circle. We'll have to shift a little bit forward, but it's 4 versus 4 with a wild card in T2K.
This is the time for patience, though, John. Because INCO's exit from this position in Severny quite difficult. Squash spot is Jane for T2K. They want all their attention to be able to be over towards DRS at the end game. But Jane's got perfect cover to play in. The DRS are happy to wait this one out. They drop smokes, in fact, even delay this game out even longer.
Position completely known here. Needs to burst the buggy. Takes too much damage from it. Ankles tagged by the play zone. And out goes T2K. 2 teams remain now in pitch 4 versus 4. Chianti looking for that heal. Becca taken pretty low as well, but does get the heal off himself in the blue zone. That'll be crunched forward. Delta moves up to the crate, and that could be crucial, Blank.
That's the biggest move in all this, and the smokes are really good. Disorientated INCO a little bit, but getting these 2 players up, very important.
Oh, no.
Swash, unfortunately, takes it to the zone. Vitaly struggling to get across to the DRS. Might have just played this one out perfectly. Nenebete down. Just Becca remaining. A horrid push for them going forward. I don't even think they can get the player back on his feet. And DRS actually going for aggression now.
Vitaly still active, but they get lit up by Delta. And DRS extends their hand and put the chokehold on the circle. DRS from the northeast side push on through.
GG la DRS.
And the first match was theirs. Now, in match number 10, they're able to do the same.
DRS from the pole, a really good result there. And from the back of some very good decisions. Taking that fight towards influence Kevin when there was a lot going on around the map, but understanding that that northern side was going to be so important for buying them time for that end game, considering where INCO was playing in Severny. They knew that, look, we have the wall for us. We're just going to take pot shots at everyone out towards that side of the map on the east. But DRS don't give them that chance. They smoke out. They get a player up towards that crate. It was fortuitous it was there in the moment. But they make all the right moves at all the right moments. Like, got to be very, very proud of DRS from the point here. Because that was a marvelous day. Very, very well played out. And that should see them further towards the top of the rankings now. Actually, very far towards the top of the rankings, considering where they were. I think it was about 70 points to start the game.
Quoi, là vous êtes sortis, vous n'avez pas pu les clés.
They started towards the top right. They are absolutely going to have extended a really nice lead now towards the end of the day with an Erangel match that potentially they could have taken home, but either way, it's a good result. It's double digits, and that's what we want to see. I think they might have even broken 20 on that game.
I think they might have broken 20 on that game. I think INCO did very, very well. And again, there's a lot of these smart decisions coming out from these teams that are getting the chicken dinners so far. Not only DRS taking that position towards that northern side, but also INCO deciding to wait down towards the south, allow a lot of that action to conclude up towards the north side of Severny. And from there, just kind of take those shots at everyone else that really didn't have that cover to play around with. So it's very smart play for both these teams. But at the end of the day, I think DRS just absolutely had INCO in the chokehold. It was not one that INCO wanted to find themselves in. I thought they thought that would be an easy finish for them. But again, that's DRS just identifying the faults of that gameplay. It only lasts for so long. It's only good for so long. As soon as Zone 9 hits, their life becomes so much harder. I think they had to have a player move out much earlier towards that ridge side, under the cover of DRS finishing up a lot of these engagements.
Although iNCO did get a lot of success, a lot of result out of that position, it was eventually going to become a bit of a moot point. So getting players up early on would have really assisted them. Because we have those 2 anchor points early, getting those other players towards your position with smokes easily thrown from that, that would have been the key play. I think we mentioned it, iNCO was just going to sit around for a while. It's what they do, and I think they make that smart decision of where to play, when to play it, but I do think they need to figure out this a little bit more proactive gameplay.
They made 1 rotation. Yeah, that whole game. It was into South Taverny.
Exactly.
And that was it. That was their entire game.
They identify a very good spot. That's the
true.
thing. Every single game they identify a very good spot. But the proactivity of the late game, really, there's something that needs to change in that regard. Because, again, we're seeing this case of iNCO being blessed a little bit by these circles. And it's hard to say, right? It's hard to say if they're being blessed or not. But at this point in time, when you see them make that singular rotation, it happened throughout group stage as well, which is what it makes me hesitant to say here at Pmgc, because I don't want to have to say that iNCO's run has been based on luck, but a lot of the time it has. I will say this is a very intelligent team. I think that's one thing they have, but proactivity, aggression, it's not really in the toolset right now.
What's unfortunate as well is that T2K, they dropped in Taverny. They went south, and iNCO, in that time frame, snooped on in and actually were able to take that away from T2K. T2K obviously ending up coming 3rd, sure, but that position in 2nd would have been so much sweeter.
It's ballsy maneuvers from iNCO that continue to work out for them. So, I don't know. I want to see more ballsy maneuvers towards the end game, though.
Well, that's exactly what DRS delivered on, right? They were able to do so much work, taking care of IHC on that side of the circle. A little bit of a risk, but with all 4 of them alive, they stayed in the fight, they made it work, and they took home match 10.
Once again, a phenomenal match, and it seems to be the match of the teams from Nepal. Look at DRS Gaming and T2K, both having phenomenal performances, 25 and 40 points.
Yeah, I think DRS, we needed to see a little bit of a follow-up performance after their first strong game yesterday, right? So that was a little bit of critique we had for DRS Gaming when it came down to it. But here, strong performance, and especially controlling team on the Easter. We wanted to see from DRS, from any team pretty much, but DRS, they just gave no breathing space to teams around them, which in a position like that, in that type of terrain, you always love to see.
Yeah, and I love the way they were able to kind of third-party certain situations too, especially with, I think it was somebody from GODLIKE STALWART, where they were able to actually beat him. Yeah, one player standing, they were like, you know what, let's actually clear that. The time that they took to clear and just make sure that they worked their way up and put themselves in a great situation, you love to see that. And then we see IHC Esports. This was a team that we were keeping an eye on early on. They end up with 15 points. Ego Gaming going with what Black was saying. I feel like, yeah, they were blessed. They were super blessed in that circle. And I wish they would have decided to rotate a little bit earlier. I felt like they took a little bit way too long. Or if maybe they would have just worked on a 2-2 split.
Especially because Vampire had that bridge line. It was pretty strong. We said it. This is the position that Vampire are going to play, where they can take all the teams leaving Taverny position. Remember, you know that team is in a little bit of a bad spot, taking that fight versus T2K specifically. That is your time where you can transition, get access to that bridge line, and then maybe you can just take the fight to go for that chicken dinner. Crossing that road is the hardest part. They had one opportunity, and they didn't quite pull the trigger on that play.
And iNCO already has so much intel too on where some of the teams might have been, and they figure, you know what, let's send it there, but they send it in way too late.
Yes, and especially since, coming back to Vampire really quickly, they had one of the positions that was in the very late game as well. They still couldn't capitalize on towards that. So incredibly disappointing in that specific game. Maybe come back to DRS really quickly because I really wanted to highlight their play. They came in to the east side and they pretty much fought their way through that. Pretty much through the whole game. They pretty much would fight constantly, right?
Yeah, I mean, as you stated, was something right. They were able to get himself that position where one of the last players of STALWART, GODLIKE STALWART was playing, get access to that compound, and especially that position enables you to get a lot of information. So the moment they get access to that position, they know pretty much what cards they're going to be having to play with for the remainder of that game until the very last second. And as we said, don't give them any breathing space, get themselves a chicken dinner. That was the one play that just set them up for success in the first place.
Yep. Setting yourself up for success is something you can also do with this beautiful device I have at my hands, which is the Sony Xperia Mark 1. Sony Xperia 1 Mark 4. My goodness, it is a complicated bit. Actually, it's not that complicated. Either way, Sony Xperia 1 Mark 4 and Sony Xperia Stream, which you can see right here. Keep your eyes peeled. We're co-developing collaboration with professional esports players. You can play Pubg Mobile with Xperia Stream's total cooling system. Once again, you can see it right in the middle of your screen. And multiple ports for intensive gaming and streaming. So make sure you check that out. Actually, I'll take it to you. Also, check out our sponsor, Prime Gaming. With Prime Gaming, you will be able to have free games if you sign up for it, and also have free in-game content. For example, for Pubg Mobile. So make sure to check that out. Sign up. You will find the links either on social media or the chat. Either way, if you have checked out all of that, so Xperia and Prime Gaming, there is another thing I want